Okay, so it's being recorded, so you're just gonna have to make do with the noise, Sa. What did you call it on your cell?
Yes.
Then I should be able to call you on the house phone then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, let me call you on the house phone.
Okay.
Yeah, just hold on 1 second. Okay. Okay. I can't press *5, so I can't out the lines. Okay, so they're definitely linked to your home phone.
Uh-huh. How can I get the echo? Can I hang up on my cell phone, right?
Yeah, hang up on your cell.
Okay. Tempta. Abdur ko shayuat viwaksamu shilpa tempta. Begin all things by first using the all. Warning, warning, warning. This information is not for entertainment purposes. If you are Black, African American, Negro, colored, fraternity or sorority affiliated, Mason, Shriner, Jesuit, Fiat worshiper, money worshiper, idol worshiper, religious worshiper, political worshiper, suffer from mental illness, drug addiction of any kind, self-hate, depression, Willie Lynch syndrome, Stockholm syndrome, five monkey syndrome, a robot, stuck on persons, places, or things, do not like reading and comprehension, have a fear of the unknown, a fear of Amorites, misnomer white people, scared of upsetting Massa and irritating his plantation, have a highly disagreeable nature, love slavery, love the Matrix, and want to continue to stay plugged into the Matrix, then these addresses are not for you. Please hang up or stop this video and do not listen ever again. This is not for you, and you know it. These weekly addresses are for deities only and for those who are ready to ascend. This information breaks up families, and you may end up walking this path alone. This information will cause your nervous system to go into full shock from atoms to quarks. And if you want to remain asleep, this information will cause irreparable damage to you and may cause you to go crazy. As Jack Nicholson stated in the movie A Few Good Men, you can't handle the truth. With that being said, this is our 61st weekly address of questions and answers with Maku Nubu Yanat Sagar, Chief Brown Eyes Hawk, also known as Chief Nanya Shaabu Eil, copyright trademark, of the Atsakata Nation of Yamasee Moors, copyright trademark, discussing current events with current solutions through action. Atsakata Nation of Yamasee Moors, copyright trademark, is internationally recognized by the United Nations as an indigenous peoples organization and indigenous nation. Atsakata Nation of Yamasee Moors, copyright trademark, are also stakeholders of the United States and Canada, lien holders, claimants, and creditors of the Vatican, Holy See, Elizabeth II, a.k.a. Elizabeth Mary Windsor Mountbatten Battenberg, and all their agents, heirs, assigns, and principals, the state of Georgia, and the White House. For 61 weeks now, Maku Nubu Yanat Sagar, also known as Chief Nanya Shaabu Eil, registered copyright trademark, has been awaiting questions regarding his official websites, which was the reason for doing the weekly addresses. So Get a pen. The addresses are https://google.com/site/Atsakata Nation Y. That's ATSIKHATANATIONY.
American all day.
http://indigenous9, that's INDIGENOUS 9.tripod.com. And from his autochthonous treaties, that's AUTOCHTHONOUSTREATISE. The information from these three sources are imperative reading to come on these addresses and will give you overstanding of Atsakata Nation and Yamasee Morris copyright trademark and the ability to use this knowledge to take action. The autochthonous treaties is on Scribd, and all should have access to it now. Set up an account and continue to use the site to publish materials about your indigenous standing. Facts are facts. Truth is truth. And now is the only time you have. If you are not a secured party, Makunubu Atyanat Sagar, Chief Brown Eyes Hawk, also known as Chief Nanya Shaabu Eil, copyright trademark, is only available to you during the weekly address. Or email him at atoxin19@gmail.com. That's AUTOCHTHON 19, the number 19, @gmail.com. If you are a secured party, you may attend the interactive online training for secured parties. We are taught laws of the Mishnah, Black's Law, how to navigate commerce and contracts, discharging debts, bond writing, etc. Those interested in participating in the secondary trainings for Groups 3 and 4 on Saturdays and Sundays may email the Chief. You may send the Chief mail or packaged items to Chief:*Nanya-Shaabu:*Eil, GD Station, Maine, Edmonton, Alberta, T5J2G8. Our address can be accessed on Nanya Akiru's webpage at youtube.com/user/Phoenix Rose. That's FEENIXROSE. On Facebook at ASHNYM Weekly Address. Or Google Atsakata Nation Weekly Address. Universal consent and permission is granted with all autochthonous rights reserved eternally by Chief Nanya Shaabu Eil, copyright trademark, for all to record and upload the weekly address and to post them wherever you choose. Our Facebook page is Daily News Postings by our Maku, Chief Nanya Shaabu Eil. There you will find current and interesting news articles, as well as postings related to claiming indigenous standing. Also on Facebook, we have the SF-181 page. There you will see published examples of SF-181s. Maku Nubu Atyanat Sagar, Chief Brown Eyes Hawk, also known as Chief Nanya Shaabu Eil's Facebook page is Nanya Shaabu Eil, and his fan page is Chief Nanya Shaabu Eil, registered copyright trademark of the Atsakata Nation. If you want to be Facebook friends with the Chief, send a private Facebook message with your friend request, or he will not friend you. Rawat, Rahotep, Ila and Tootin, greetings and peace to you all. Our addresses now begin at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Saturday. The call-in number is 661-673-8605 with access code 846967#. The playback number is 559-670-1099 with the same access code 846967#. We take questions over the phone internationally, domestically, from east to west, sisters, and then brothers. We also answer questions via Skype and Facebook messaging. To join in on Skype, call Nanya Eil. We ask that you mute your phone by pressing *6 and Skype call during the recording, unless you have a question, of course. Abud Gadur, White Power. Maku, the floor is yours.
Tawat.
Nana.
So what I can do now is I'm going to hang up. You can call back in on your cell.
Yep.
Or you prefer to stay on your home line?
Probably the home phone.
Okay. So that's fine. Okay.
Okay.
Tawahat Jed Couture. All right. Abud Gadur, Abud Gadur, Abud Gadur. White power, white power, white power. Greetings to everybody. Oh, I got to call back in.
What's up, Chief?
Anarchy, Deek Anarchy. All right. Rawat. Again, Abud Gadur, Abud Gadur, Abud Gadur. White power, white power, white power. Hotep Elanti team.
Hotep.
White power.
Our apologies to all for waiting. Unfortunately, you all know what the reason for the delay is. And that should not be particularly a surprise. I'm going to do invocations, and we're going to go straight into questions because I know a lot of people got some questions today. Insta. Look at Hamudmu Ila. Look at Mu Ila Ray. Kawunsin. On. Amun. Inen asafi patinta. Inen asafi patinta. On. Amun. Yahum. Ya Nikru. Entity asafi patinta. Yahum. Yahum. Ya Nit entity nafafi patinta. Kawunsin. On.
They did it again, knocked them off.
Rahwat. Rahwat.
Rawat.
Greetings.
Yeah, we couldn't hear each other, and we definitely knew that you had gotten cut because we heard those squiggles.
Yeah.
Oh, you heard the squiggles. Okay.
As soon as you went into the invocations, it started.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so y'all know what time it is. So we're going to go straight into, let's go straight into questions and answers first. Okay, we're going to start internationally. Any women got a question internationally? So that's like Argentina, Cuba, Colombia, Mexico, that would be Papua West New Guinea, England, London, Spain. Any women internationally that are on the call would have a question. Going once. Any women on the call internationally that have a question? Going twice. Any women on the call that have a question? Going 3 times. All right. Any men internationally? So that would be like South Africa. That would be like Kenya, Ghana, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Ireland, Malta. Any men on the call that have a question? Going once. Internationally. Papua West New Guinea, China, South Korea, Argentina, Ecuador. Any men on the call that have a question? Going twice. Internationally. Internationally, any men? Going 3 times. All right? So now we're going to go from east to west. Any women in the Eastern time zone have a question? Women in the Eastern time zone that have a question. Going once, Eastern time zone. So that's Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Toronto, Montreal, Quebec, Maine. Any women in the Eastern time zone that have a question? Going once. Going twice, Eastern time zone women. Going 3 times. Okay, any men in the Eastern time zone that have a question?
Greetings.
Greetings.
This is Andrew Renatchqua.
Is that's your end with the siren there?
That's not a siren.
Oh, what was that?
I do not know because people are having barbecue and playing loud music in the background.
Oh, okay, that was some
There ain't no sirens out here. No, we get trains and we get the original police siren, but that's not a police siren. That's not on my end.
Oh, that's some dancehall. That's some dancehall music there.
No, that's not even dancehall. That's not from my end of the phone.
Oh, so that was something else then.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I have 3 questions.
Yes.
On your Google Sites webpage, under Plenipotentiary, on the quantum claim of the Atlas,
Yes.
why is the signature used with a picture, a fingerprint, and blood?
Picture identifies the flesh and blood. The thumbprint is representative of the blood, and that's also your DNA. And the blood is representative. Well, the blood is representative of your DNA. Thumbprint is is an identifying mark. That's generally known. And the thumbprint, and the blood is the DNA, which also ties into your history, because your history and your genealogy and et cetera, all that is focused in the cell, in the blood cell. And the cells contain the memory, they contain information. And so that's a requisite when you're doing a quantum claim. So that's why that's the way that was done, because there's no other melaninites that are dealing with things on a world basis aside from myself. I've yet to meet any anybody. The rest of them are all talking from hood to hood, neighborhood to neighborhood. They're not dealing with the Rothschilds. They're not dealing with the Vatican. They're not dealing with any of that. That's why I laugh at the so-called ones who say they're black conscious, because they make me laugh, because they're saying, well, we're descendants of kings and queens. I said, but you're acting like chattel. So you're not talking to anybody who's the movers and shakers. So you're not fooling anybody.
Okay, for my second question.
Yes.
The IMF said that its previous package was too high, that the price they asked for from Greece was too high. Would it also been too high from the previous countries that also offered austerity packages too?
Well, how the austerity packages work are, if you're, let's say, $200 billion in the hole, then all the countries will come together and say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to bail you out. We'll pay your $200 or your $20 billion debt. We're going to give you more money for you to keep operational, but the condition on which you get that is you have to do these things. So they would have to probably increase taxes. They would probably have to charge user fees. They're going to, it's a whole gamut. So when people look at that, it's like, okay, they're really getting a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage. And so it's like, okay, because with Greece, it was the last time they said, because I looked at it, because I took accounting when I was in, college or what have you. And it was like they weren't really coming out ahead. Plus, we didn't even count the interest rate. The whole purpose of this fractional reserve banking system is to do what? Keep people in debt. It's not for you to get ahead. It's for you to be in perpetual slavery. Mm-hmm. That's the whole purpose of that. And like I had told you all before, keep your eyes on Greece, and here we are. Now, if Greece takes the deal from Russia and goes to the BRICS, all that debt is wiped. And now the problem is the people from Germany who bailed Greece out, which triggered Germany saying they needed a bailout. Then it triggered the IMF saying that they needed a bailout. I'm like, well, what do you guys need a bailout for? You're the bank that every country goes to as a bank of last resort when your financial crisis is jacked up. Now IMF is saying they need a bailout. That says a lot. That tells you that it's a fractional reserve banking system that's not based on anything that's solid. Mm-hmm. You get Miss Andrews?
Yes.
So again, it goes back to practical. You have to know economics. You have to know how the economic system is generated. 95% of the people could care less. As long as Joe sits back and he's getting six-pack watch Monday Night Football, he don't care.
Can I hear you, man?
Yeah, I'm here.
No, I just stopped.
Oh, sorry. All right, I'm going to move on to my third question.
Yes.
All right. India has brought charges against the vaccine companies.
Yes.
I know other Asian countries are realizing that the vaccines, and they do clearly state that it's vaccines from Western nations, are damaging their population. So what would be their recourse?
Yeah.
No. What would be the recourse of India, China, and other Asian nations that are using Western vaccines that damage their peoples?
Well, we've already seen what they're doing. They're already being sued. They have other remedies internationally, but for a question like that, you'd have to ask India about that.
Okay.
See, I'm not my point, and I'm not disregarding your question. What I'm saying is put your question in context. These are what the countries in India and Asia, because I saw an article that said in Chinese have all these children now that have never had autism before are now having autism because of the vaccines they got from the West. Who's the big guy pushing vaccines? Bill Gates. So now the question is, Now what do we say here in the West? What are the Nubians and Melaninites going to be doing? They're drones. They ain't going to do nothing. Now, any recourse that they in the Western Hemisphere would have to be by them doing what? Making sure they do an SF-181 and reject the term black being identified because it's a racial classification for commercial purposes.
SF-181.
I just overstood that. Thank you.
All right. Hotep.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Much gratitude.
Okay. Any other man in the Eastern time zone that has a question?
Hotep, Chief.
Hotep, and this is?
This is Amun Nitir El.
Hotep Amun Nitir El.
I have a question. Can you explain to me, Chief, what is the importance of your position here on Tiamat?
What is my importance?
Importance.
And what do you mean by what is my importance?
What's your main job as the chief?
He's doing it. Take one guess.
No, come on, please, everybody. You know, I'd like everybody to get their say. So please, just be honorable, and I just want him to just, you know, because I'm still trying to grasp what it is that he's asking.
What I'm asking is that, like, explain like how important you are to us indigenous people here.
That, I think, is something that each individual would probably have to answer. I don't think that I could answer for each individual because I don't know. My one thing I've learned about perception is how I perceive myself is not how people perceive me, and it works the same way with everybody else. The way you look at yourself in the mirror, or how you quote unquote relate to yourself, is not the same way that people see you. And if you don't fit a person's preconceived idea or mental projection of how you should be based upon the interaction with you, then it causes a conflict with them, not with you. You know, they're expecting you to be a certain way, and then when you're not like that, then they start having a problem because now you can't be classified, you can't be boxed, you can't be categorized. And so then that creates a problem. So in that capacity, I couldn't answer for everybody. I can say, and I've stated this before in the weekly addresses, I know what my ultimate mission is: to build Egypt.
That's basically like what I was asking. You said it right there. Like, what is your main mission?
Build Egypt. And if anybody wants proof, they can, or some sort of, well, what do you have? I said, there's a video out on YouTube called "You Are Egyptians, You Are Gods." You can find that on YouTube. And if anybody has heard it, the person asking actually the question is me.
Okay.
And he said, if you ever want to get to Egypt, you better build it. He said, you did it before and you can do it again, but you got to be focused. So I don't have time to play games with people. I don't have time to BS. You're with this, get lost. And it's a concept of law of attraction. People who see the bigger picture are going to get this. That's why a lot of the people who have now been doing their appellations, most of the people who have been doing their appellations are now realizing the ones who have the appellations have been Tamarayan. They have not been, let's say, Moorish. And that doesn't take away from those who already have theirs, because, again, the appellation that you have as far as your UCC is concerned is specifically for in commerce. Now, and I know people who are in AEO who tried to use their AEO name on the UCC, and I told them don't do that because that's a spiritual appellation. So, as always, I don't have to, I don't really have to, and this is why it's different with what I'm doing. It's like, no, I'm not going to fight and argue with nobody. You got 2 minutes. I'm going to test your intelligence. 2 minutes. You can't get this, you're not worth it. You just want to vent. They go, okay, Chief's on tonight. Oh, yeah, weekly address. Entertainment. And I've stated that I'm not here for entertaining purposes. Any other questions?
Yes. As far as the statutory declaration, like my children, do I have to do one for each one of them or no?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because of the limitations on trying to get this address out, I would have shown you on a board if you look at a grid pattern, similar like a row of boxes, like a grid of boxes, like you have the graph paper. Remember with the graph paper?
Yes.
So where all the XY's intersect, you would put dots there, so you could put 4 across, 4 down, and 4 horizontally. So you'd have 16 dots in a cube. Each individual is, based upon how this system is structured, as an individual. Even if they consider themselves or have a family, they are still looked upon individually, because that's the way that it has been structured. You are just the governor of, or the guardian, or the babysitter of what you consider your children. But you think you own them, but you don't. And so the way about bringing that back in together is by doing what? Acknowledging that it has been broken apart and saying we're correcting that, and then cohesing it very much like an atom or a molecule. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, Chief.
So this is why when this subject comes up, everyone is quick to want to come together. They say community and all that stuff, but the reality of it is it's not gonna work if the contracts are not acknowledged. And I'm glad, like I said, I am glad though that you did bring that up, because I want to just address something here first. First, I'm trying to find this email here this brother sent me, and then I want to make mention of this when you're talking about cohesiveness and your children and everything. Just bear with me 1 second here, because I have to find this. Beautiful. This is what I was looking for. Okay, and we will deal. What is this? 3748. See, I got kind of sidetracked because I really wanted to deal with this in a second. Okay, so what I'm going to read here is from Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You there?
Yes, I'm here, Chief.
Okay, now here's the table of strategies. And this has been out for years. So they said table of strategies. Do this. Keep the public ignorant. Now to get this, you put less public organization. And the next one is maintain access to price controls, points for feedback. Do this. And to get this is a required reaction to output, which is prices and sales. Create preoccupation. Do this. to get this, lower their defenses. So if you're preoccupied with stuff, you can't defend. Attack the family unit young. Do this. It says to get this. Control of the education of the young. So if they attack the family unit like a cell, molecule, atom, chemical composition, and that's attacked, then you can control the education of the young. Okay, you got that?
Got it, Chief.
Okay, I'm not finished, but I want you to pay attention. It says do this, maximize control, and get this by minimum resistance to control. Do this, collapse of currency to get this, destroy the faith of the American people in each other. So now this leads into the next section, diversion, the primary strategy. Experience has present, or probably should be present, that the simplest method of securing a silent weapon and gaining control of the public is to keep the public undisciplined and ignorant of the basic system principles on the one hand, while keeping them confused, disorganized, and distracted with matters of no real importance on the other hand. You got that?
Got it.
This is achieved by disengaging their minds, sabotaging their mental activities, providing a low-quality program of public education in mathematics, logic, systems design, and economics, and discouraging technical creativity, engaging their emotions, increasing their self-indulgence and their indulgence in emotional and physical activity, by unrelenting emotional affrontations and attacks, mental and emotional rape, by way of constant barrage of sex, violence, and wars in the media, especially the TV and the newspapers. Next, giving them what they desire in excess, junk food for thought, and depriving them of what they really need. Next, rewriting history and law and subjecting the public to the deviant creation, thus being able to shift their thinking from personal needs to highly fabricated outside priorities. These preclude their interest in and discovery of the silent weapons of social automation technology. The general rule is that there is a profit in confusion. The more confusion, the more profit. Therefore, the best approach is to create problems and then offer solutions. You follow that?
Yes, I follow, Chief.
Continuing on. Diversion summary. Media, keep the adult public attention diverted away from the real social issues and captivated by matters of no real importance. Schools, keep the young people ignorant of real mathematics, real economics, real law, and real history. Entertainment, keep the public entertainment below a 6th grade level. Work, keep the public busy, 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 with no time to think back on the farm with the other animals. So when people are complaining, well, hip-hop's going down, so well, what do you expect? This is what the record companies want because this is a silent weapon. Continue on. Consent, the primary victory. A silent weapon system operates upon data obtained from a docile public by legal but not always lawful force. Much information is made available to silent weapon systems programmers through the Internal Revenue Service. See studies in the structure of the American economy for an IRS source list. This information consists of the enforced delivery of well-organized data contained in federal and state tax forms, collected, assembled, and submitted by slave labor provided by taxpayers and employers. Furthermore, the number of such forms submitted to the IRS is a useful indicator of public consent, an important factor in strategic decision-making. Other data sources are given in the short list of inputs. Consent coefficient, numerical feedback indicating victory status. Psychological basis, when the government is able to collect tax and seize private property without just compensation, it is an indication that the public is ripe for surrender and is consenting to enslavement and legal encroachment. You getting this?
Yes, I'm getting it, Chief.
A good and easily quantified indicator of harvest time is the number of public citizens who pay income tax despite an obvious lack of reciprocal or honest service from the government. And notice the IRS changed their mission statement, said we're going to provide high-quality service for the taxpayers, for those of you who have done your statutory claim. And remember, public citizen is what? A corporation. So I'm reading this into the legalese, so don't get swayed by public in terms of flesh and blood. It's still corporate. Now, amplification of energy sources. The next step in the process of designing an economic amplifier is discovering the energy sources. The energy sources which support any primitive economic system are, of course, a supply of raw materials and the consent of the people to labor and consequently assume a certain rank, position, level, or class in the social structure to provide labor at various levels in the pecking order. Each class, in guaranteeing its own level of income, controls the class immediately below it, hence preserves the class structure. This provides stability and security, but also government from the top. So when you see, I've been telling you all about the CBC, talking about the Congressional Black Caucus, all these black politicians, all these black, all these black politicians, these black congressmen, told y'all they ain't trying to help y'all. They're there for you all to stay where you're at. Are you getting this?
Yes.
So now the question needs to be asked, how are any of these other guys out there not talking about this? You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now, we know about the Boule because Stephen Coakley done broke it down, exposed them. Nothing has changed.
Mm-hmm.
So now, I'll read this again because this is a very telling paragraph here. Each class, in guaranteeing its own level of income, controls the class immediately below it. So your congressman that people think they are electing is not there to help you. They're there to oversee and manage you. Do you get that?
Yes.
Hence, preserves the class structure. Is that not correct?
Correct.
Pardon?
Yes.
So this provides stability and security, but also government from the top. So now all this ranting and raving that you hear Cornel West and Tavis Smiley and all that stuff, now you know this comes from what I told you all. It's all BS.
Mm-hmm.
They're there to what? As it says here, each class in guaranteeing its own level of income controls the class immediately below it. This is regardless of color. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So now, if you have people who are considered public officials, which are technically social agents or social scientist agents, a representative of social scientist agents, what is their primary purpose?
To keep you down.
To what?
To keep you down.
And maintain the status quo, correct?
Yes, correct.
So all this stuff when they talked about Marilyn Mosby, oh, she's going to get justice. I'm going to get y'all justice. How can you do that? You know what type of a statement that is? As a prosecutor, she doesn't have control if those guys are going to trial. She has to pick a jury, and if we're following that, who ultimately has the power? The jury.
Right.
So did she not lie to the public saying she's going to, like, I'm going to get this for y'all? She's not the judge. Am I the only one seeing this?
No, Chief.
But you see my point now. So she made a very presumptuous statement because if you check the data, what does it say? It talks about what? In the previous page, it talked about what? Data. Right? The primary victory. This information consists of the enforced delivery of well-organized data contained in federal and state tax forms collected, assembled, and submitted. So there's a data collection. If we check the statistics, every one of the major events that have occurred, and any of those public officials or police officers went to jail, yes or no?
Yes.
Who? Who went to jail with Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin?
Nobody.
Okay, who went to jail for what's his name for in New York and Green? Huh?
Who was that? Gardner?
Eric Garner. Who went to jail? Who went to jail for what's his name in Missouri? Who went to jail for that?
Nobody.
Okay, Tamir Rice. Who went to jail for that?
Nobody.
Okay. Now, that is a pattern. So when you see that consistent pattern, and then the Justice Department investigated which one? The Ferguson. And what did they say? No charges, correct?
Right.
Which I told you that they weren't going to charge anybody. Then Zimmerman, what happened? They did an investigation. Did they find any civil rights charges?
No.
That's two. Eric Garner. What happened with that?
They said they're not going to open up the file no more.
Okay. 3 times is a warning. Tamir Rice. What's going on with that?
Wow.
You see my point?
They're not doing anything.
Okay, so now when you look at this here, for those who have it, and it talks about each class and guaranteeing its own level of income controls the class immediately below it.
Right.
So ain't nothing going to change. Not at the present way it's going. No, it can't. Because what is holding that whole structure together? The pursuit of what? Come on, don't get quiet on me. Come on, talk. If you don't,
the pursuit. What is it? The pursuit of?
What is holding that whole? Each class guaranteeing its own level of income controls the class immediately below it. So therefore, what holds that structure together?
By them calling themselves black?
No. You're missing it. Commerce, contracts. That is what is holding it together. Because they believe the illusion, which is the Federal Reserve note, is real. And based upon that, it's a mental programming that people think it's real. So therefore now they get they live a little better than when they were younger, and so now they're going to protect that at all costs, even if it's a fraud.
Oh.
Have you watched the Matrix movies?
Yes, I did.
Well, then you need to go back and watch number 1 again. Continuing on, this provides stability and security, but also government from the top. As time goes on and communication, education improve, the lower class elements of the social labor structure become knowledgeable and envious of the good things that the upper class members have. They also begin to attain a knowledge of energy systems and the ability to enforce their rise through the class structure. This threatens the sovereignty of the elite. If this rise of the lower classes can be postponed long enough, the elite can achieve energy dominance, and labor by consent no longer will hold a position of an essential energy source. Until such energy dominance is absolutely established, the consent of people to labor and let others handle their affairs must be taken into consideration, since failure to do so could cause the people to interfere in the final transfer of energy sources to the control of the elite. Do you get that paragraph?
Yes, I do, Chief.
It is essential to recognize that at this time, public consent is still an essential key to the release of energy in the process of economic amplification. Therefore, consent as an energy release mechanism will now be considered. Here now goes into the next section, which is logistics. The successful application of a strategy requires a careful study of inputs, outputs, the strategy connecting the inputs and outputs, and the available energy sources to fuel the strategy. This study is called logistics. A logistical problem is studied at the elementary level first, then levels of greater complexity are studied as a synthesis of elementary factors. This means that a given system is analyzed, broken down into its subsystems, and these in turn are analyzed until by this process one arrives at the logistical atom, the individual. So when you think you are a family with your children, you are, but the thing is you have contracted and abdicated that. By the contracts, you are together as an illusion, but contractually you're still separate. You follow?
Follow.
This is where the process of synthesis properly begins at the time of the birth of the individual. Now, the next section we're going into deals with the artificial womb. The artificial womb, from the time a person leaves its mother's womb, its every effort is directed towards building, maintaining, and withdrawing into artificial wombs various sorts of substitute protective devices or shells. The objective of these artificial wombs is to provide a stable environment for both stable and unstable activity, to provide a shelter for the evolutionary processes of growth and maturity, survival, to provide security for freedom, and to provide defense protection for offensive activity. Going into the next section, the political structure of a nation, dependency. Pay close attention to this, everybody. The primary reason why the individual citizens of a country create a political structure is a subconscious wish or desire to perpetuate their own dependency relationship of childhood. That is deep.
Wow.
Simply put, they want a human God to eliminate all risk from their life, pat them on the head, kiss their bruises, put a chicken on every dinner table, clothe their bodies, tuck them into bed at night, and tell them that everything will be all right when they wake up in the morning. This public demand is incredible, so the human God, the politician, meets incredibility with incredibility by promising the world and delivering nothing. So I will go on the record, for the record, and let the record show Marilyn Mosby will deliver nothing. So who is the bigger liar, the public or the Godfather? This public behavior is surrender born of fear, laziness, and expediency. It is the basis of the welfare state as a strategic weapon useful against a disgusting public. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the next one. Responsibility again. This is the next section. Most people want to be free to do things to explore, etc., but they are afraid to fail. The fear of failure is manifested in irresponsibility, and especially in delegating those personal responsibilities to others where success is uncertain or carries possible or created liabilities which the person is not prepared to accept. They want authority, root word, author, but they will not accept responsibility or liability. So they hire politicians to face reality for them. Now here's the summary of what I just read to you. The people hire the politicians so that the people can obtain security without managing it, obtain action without thinking about it, inflict theft, injury, and death upon others without having to contemplate either life or death, avoid responsibility for their own intentions, obtain the benefits of reality and science without exerting themselves in the discipline of facing or learning either of these things. They give the politicians the power to create and manage a war machine to provide for the survival of the nation/womb, prevent encroachment of anything upon the nation/womb, destroy the enemy who threatens the nation/womb, destroy those citizens of their own country who do not conform for the sake of stability of the nation/womb. Politicians hold many quasi-military jobs, the lowest being the police, which are soldiers. The attorneys and CPAs, which are certified public accountants, are next, who are spies and saboteurs licensed, and the judges who shout orders and run the closed union military shop to whatever the market will bear. The generals are industrialists. The presidential level of commander-in-chief is shared by the international bankers. The people know that they have created this farce and financed it with their own taxes, consent, but they would rather knock under than be the hypocrite. Thus, a nation becomes divided into two very distinct parts, a docile subnation, great silent majority, and a political subnation. The political subnation remains attached to the docile subnation, tolerates it, and leaches its substance until it grows strong enough to detach itself, then devour its parent. So, people are responsible. The finger-pointing days are over. You follow?
Follow.
Any other questions?
Yes. So that ties in with the Margaret Sanger, the lady who started the Planned Parenthood thing, you know, like attacking the womb.
Yes. But it's not any. It's just not any womb. They're attacking the Nubian womb. And it hasn't changed. So you see what I mean. So this is what we're talking about. So they're not hiding any of this stuff. People can't claim ignorance anymore. And so what you're seeing now is people want to run into ignorance and use that as a scapegoat or as a protection. All right?
Yes, Chief. Got all that.
All right, then. White power.
White power.
Okay. Any other man in Eastern time zone that has a question before we move on to the Central time zone? Going once. Eastern time zone. So that would be...
I got one question again.
Yes.
Andrew and Ashcroft.
Yes.
Palestine is sending lawsuits to the international court. How is that going to turn out?
I don't know. You need to ask the international court that. The bigger question is the charges they're hitting with is like war crimes, crimes against humanity. Keep in mind, our weekly addresses are in the mid. As you bring that up, and I give gratitude to you for doing that, I want to give a shout-out. I was supposed to do this last, but I want to give a shout-out to all the Ethiopians and anybody, any Nubians that are in Israel right now who are fighting against what they would call discrimination against the state of Israel, so I do want to give honors and acknowledge them in the Nubians in Israel from Ethiopia and other parts, those because there's some from the southern Turtle Island that have moved and are living over there, and I just want to acknowledge that they're fighting back and going against that because of what? They see our weekly addresses are also going on in Israel. So, this is worldwide. This is isolated to some place. So they're realizing that this is genocide, apartheid, because those were the two particular ones. They were with apartheid and war crimes. So when I hear the words apartheid, genocide, that makes me, I was like, yep, that's our weekly address, because they never used to do that before. But remember, the Pope has now recognized Palestine as a state. So now international law comes into play.
Much gratitude.
Hotep. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next time zone, Central Time Zone. Any women in the Central Time Zone, so that's Illinois, Missouri, Western Tennessee, where are we at here? Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana. Any women in the East Central Time Zone that have a question?
Okay.
Hotep.
Hi, this is Marcella from Alabama. And
Greetings.
And I was reading along with you with Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars.
Yes.
And under their logistics, it's amazing how with the inputs and the outputs, and I was thinking about along the line with gas, the prices of gas going up, and they see how the public reacts to it. And then once the public reacts to it, because they know the public is going to say, well, okay, well, you know what, I have to use the gas to go to work, so they don't mind. They grunt and they grumble and grunt about it, but they still pay for it. And then when you at the gas stations, they have the increase of the cigarettes. So what they do, they substitute for their frustrations, they'll go buy the cigarettes or the liquor or whatever, but they still stay with that price. And also with the artificial womb, it's amazing because, like with the Bible, even in the Bible, when the judges in the book of Judges, when they wanted somebody to rule over them because they didn't want to take that stand for them, they didn't want to follow first God, and then they just wanted to be lazy and have somebody do everything for them. So that is so true. I just wanted to put that input in there.
Yes, well, I'm glad that you read that because further when you go into that, it starts getting into mathematics. They have formulas on calculations. That's called shock treatment, because that's further on past the logistics stage of the manual. So they call it shock testing. So in the shock testing, they deliberately do that. Let's see what they're going to do.
That's
and
like with
the gauge.
That's like with the eggs now, like the dairy products, everything is like the eggs are like almost $4 a dozen, and people still are buying it. They'll grunt and grumble about it, but they'll still buy it, and they test the market like that.
Yes. So it just shows you how things are out of whack for that. And again, if you're really going to get out of this problem, that book and any other book, Modern Money Mechanics, those are the things that these guys need to be talking about. Right. And the guys who are not talking about that type of stuff are really not talking about getting outside of this matrix or this maze. They're just saying that to appeal to people because what do they talk about? Energy.
Right.
So when you look at it, it's representative of that. I'm going to do something here because I was supposed to have the picture. I'm going to put it on. I haven't been posting a lot on the weekly address on the website, but I'm going to see if I can get this picture here. This is a picture of, and we'll touch on Mr. Jonah Bay. It's a picture of him with a whole stack of Federal Reserve notes in front of him. And he's taking a picture. So when I see stuff like that, and I know that has no value, and he's taking a picture in front of a little mountain of a whole stack of them, I get I mean, that he's communicating he's holding debt. He's not holding any assets. And it goes back to this book, Silent Weapons with Quiet Wars, and the fact that they got everybody hooked on that. So a lot of the people, yeah, they might be considered successful, but they're actually trapped by that because they've actually acquired more debt.
Right.
You know, so for him to imply that I don't know the difference between public and private, and here he is posing in front of a whole stack of Federal Reserve notes of a private bank, taking a picture with the cell phone, I'm like, that spells. That is nothing. What he has there, that picture, it's nothing. And he's showing he's holding debt. He's not holding no assets. Hold on a second here, because I want to get this picture and put it up so people can see it. Hopefully I saved this thing right. Oh, so is this it here? Yes, this is it. Okay. Okay, so everyone go to Atsikata Nation Weekly Address, and here's the first picture. I'm just putting the picture up. So y'all can look at that. I mean, he's trying to tell me, you know, I don't know the difference between public and private. I'm like, dude, that's a private company that you publish in, and you putting that's their stuff. You're showing me you're holding debt. That's what you're telling me. You see it? See the picture?
Yes, I see, yes. Wow.
You're holding debt, bro. Jonah Bay, you holding debt. And the next thing is, you said I lived in Atlanta. Good. If you don't know your research, then find out where I was living in Atlanta. But I never lived in Atlanta. But since you say you know, here, now find the evidence. I'll give you all the time you need.
Wow.
I got another picture because I like to get sometimes you get a picture that's kind of short. So first one, yeah, one's the top and then the bottom. So here's the picture. So here's the second one. So when I see guys, him, and then there was another one with Polite. And I'll see if I can find that. If I can, great. If not, then forget about it. We'll move on. There's a picture of Polite. He was in a hotel room in his boxers and a muscle shirt holding stacks of hundreds, and I'm sitting there like, it's like, oh, here it is. I found it right here. Here's the picture. He's sitting there in his boxers holding stacks of 100Ks. And then the title, I think that was from, if I recall correctly, that was from a video, Why Do Black People Hate When Other Black People Have Money? That ain't money. Jonah Bay, that picture you have, more money, that is not money. That private bank told the public it has no value, Jonah. Don't you know that? Now you're going to put that picture and you call this Consultation Wednesdays? Are you serious, Jonah Bay? So there's the picture, him and Polite. So when I see the guys flashing that, they don't have nothing. How are you going to sit there and talk about getting out of this problem, and then here it is, you're holding stacks and it has no value? Alan Greenspan, who was the president of the Federal Reserve, not president, he was a Federal Reserve Bank chair. When he was the chair, he said he used it to blow his nose in. Tiger, I don't know what the try and send me a request. I'm trying to get you in on this call, Tiger, but it keeps kicking you off to the side. So that's why I'm hanging up, because if I call you, if I pick up your call, it's not going to link you into the group call, and I'm trying to get you into the group call.
Oh,
so see what you got on your end, because let me see if I can invite you. I don't forgot you said, okay, add people. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm going to add you right now. Okay, I got you. Oh, this is interesting. Let's see, call. So anybody who wants to get added, they can send me a message on Skype, and I can add them to the call. No, I just added you, Tiger. You should be in already. Well, now don't call me. I'm going to add you. Where are we at here? Yeah, I guess you're here. You're on to add the call. Okay, yeah, you should be on now. Yeah, okay. Beautiful. So going back to your statement, sister, so what's happening? So this is it here regarding Jonah Bay. I'm not finished yet. I got more stuff I got to deal with him. But again, furthermore to SF-181, him and high frequency, which, talking about, I've heard this argument before, and let's see, where is it here? Let me see if some of you have already seen it. I'll just have to go on my album because I'd like to have the picture there on the weekly address. I think I posted it already, but I'll do it again. Excuse me. Where are we at here? Okay, I'm just going to go to my photo album. Oh, one other thing. Oh, I almost forgot. Where are you hiding? Okay, one thing at a time, I guess. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to go to album, and what I'll do is I will put the link for, now this, for those that don't know, because some people may not have seen this, this is a certified copy of an actual order of a judge in Florida signing off on the standard form 181 and put an order in. Where are we at here? Okay. So here's the link to the album, so you all can see it. So when Jonah Bay and High Frequency Radio are saying, the brother needs to do his research, I said, bruh, 5 of my videos are on the OPM's website. If I was incorrect, somebody would have corrected me by now. So the link is there. For those that go there, you have to go to the left and go post to page. When you go post to page, you click on that, and then you'll see the document, because sometimes they don't always put them up there. And so when you click on the album, you will see the iPads was stamped by the clerk, the order stamped by the judge in Orange County, Florida, and you will see the SF-181 is stamped. That's a legal document. So for all those who say that you don't need to do a SF-181 and there's no proof, here's your proof, High Frequency, and I know you're not going to say nothing neither. So there's your stare decisis, and that is now evidence and international record and international public knowledge. It is now a commercial fact. Okay, so we got that one taken care of. And then, let's see, what was it? This is a download. What's his name? Sam. That should be it. Hopefully I find it real quick. I have another picture that I want to give. Yes, this is it. So go to that Takata Weekly address. And again, the question needs to be asked, since today on the Gregorian calendar is July 4th, why is it that, and you can go there now and you all can see the photo. This is a post that was on my timeline on Facebook from the Attorney General for Georgia, Sam Olens. So, Jonah Bay, why is Sam Olens, who's the Attorney General of Georgia, posting on July 4th on my timeline on Facebook? Very interesting. But I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just pausing deliberately for effect, so that sinks in. Because the Attorney General knows we have a lien that has no lapse date on it on the state of Georgia. Like I said, I think it was around 56 or 55. It's all about us, worldwide. So, if I'm a fraud and all this stuff, why would the Attorney General put himself? He knows something you don't, Jonah. I just thought, Jonah might want to know that. Now, I've never met him personally, so I don't know how he gets off like he know me. And, he was filing liens, and then, he had to escape and go. He said, no, I didn't get escape and come to Canada, nothing. I was smuggled here. And what Jonah does not know is the Prime Minister of Canada, Pierre Trudeau, who died years ago. He knew my father when my father was working at Westin Hotel. What Jonah doesn't know is on my mother's side, so-called mother's side, her cousin was the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. So, you see, I have royalty in my blood, Jonah, so you really have no idea who you're talking to and what you're talking about. But feel free to present any documentation that you feel that you may have, since you think you know me, but you don't. In the meantime, and in between time, that standard Form 181, this now is irrefutable, indisputable, can't be argued, must be acknowledged, and must be dealt with. Any of these so-called people who are saying they're conscious, they ain't talking about the standard Form 181, they ain't saying nothing. So now this puts any resistance that anybody would have toward it to rest, because the album is up there, the order is signed, it's a done deal. Do you have any other questions, sister?
No, I don't, but thank you. Much appreciated, thank you.
You're much appreciated as well. Any other woman in this Central Time Zone that has a question?
No.
Missouri, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, going once. Iowa, Minnesota, going twice. Going 3 times. Okay.
Oh, hello.
Yes.
It's me again.
Yes.
I just want to know, do you think there might be like a time frame, before they initiate some type of force to stop us from doing the SF-181 or the statutory declaration? Do you think there?
What, for you to wait till the day before to do it?
I know it's available for us to do now, but being that it's getting so much attention now, especially through the weekly addresses. I mean, I've done mine.
Okay.
Okay, so I've done mine, and I'm on my statutory declaration now. I already sent it to you. I just needed to do the appellation. Send it back.
That's what I looked at it, and I'm waiting on that, and I got to fix your giraffe for you.
Okay, so I just wanted to know, do you think that they're planning some type of intervention, to stop it?
No, they're not planning an intervention. What they're doing is what did we just read in Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars? Distraction. That's right. Their acute deal. As soon as we did the weekly address and the Amorite woman in California called, that's when Rachel's stuff jumped off. Then see how everything went from Rachel and NAACP, we need to take the flag down on South Carolina. So what? You see, and everyone's focused on what? The flag on South Carolina. MSNBC messed up big time by putting out the application that Rachel had to fill out to be on the police board in Oregon, in Washington, or probably not Oregon, it was Washington State. And when I saw that, because every company can develop their own race and ethnicity, because it's based on what? Demographics. So economics, mathematics, and electricity are all interconnected. So if they don't tell people that, and people think, well, go to school, get a good education, get a good job, boom, you're a drone. You don't see how they interrelate, because now when I found that out, I had to look at Matrix Reloaded differently now, because at the point where they said, yes, a system built on top of each other, electricity. Then it's like, no, it's not electricity. It's economics, electricity, and what? Mathematics. And now we push that to the side now. I'm taking you all higher, because what did they say that's in the universe that's the most prevalent? Dark matter.
Right. Carbon.
So dark matter equals what? Ether. 9 to the 9th power of 9. So when I was telling the people on Renan Squad that they were being too damn lazy, that they need to go down to Wall Street, now Wall Street said, well, we're going to put a spot where the slave market is. Why? I already know them crackheads on Wall Street is listening to the weekly address. This is about a spiritual, etheric energy system that you can't even see. So now if you all go down and you start beating your drums out there, what's going to happen? You're going to talk to your ancestors and say, okay, we apologize. You guys got trapped. We got to help you all to help us. You see the connection?
Yes.
So I told them, I did an Agni Hotra. Sa went down. She beat her drum about 2 weeks ago. Was it a week ago? Or 2 weeks ago, I think it was. And Sa went down right on Wall Street and beat her drum. It's like, how can you all dare utter out your mouth, we're descendants of kings and queens, and you all are scared to sit there and start dealing with the fact that this is what you are in, an economic prison. How dare you open your mouth? Oh, we built pyramids. I don't give a damn if you built a pyramid in the past. You ain't built one now. I got to play Janet Jackson on you now. What have you done for me lately? I mean, the past is the past. What is happening now? So the Congressional Black Caucus sold you all out. They are the ones that approve for the local police forces to do what? Get military-grade weapons, and they're not trained on it. I read that in Weekly Address number 4, number 5. I read out every congressperson's name. I read it out. What happened? Nothing. Then, when with the thing with the NAACP, you didn't hear from Dick Gregory. Nothing. Kept his mouth shut. You didn't hear from Cornel West. You didn't hear from nobody. Excuse me. Now, all of a sudden, with the flag of South Carolina, then what happens? Cornel West comes out, opens his mouth, but you already know he's boule. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Tavis Smiley has been stone cold. He's so quiet, a dead person's louder than him right now. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
So when I mean, playtime, playtime is over. I ain't got time for this nonsense. If you're serious, you want a solution, fine, you go for it, and then we move forward and do stuff. If you're not going to, that's cool. Keep your butt there. Don't come on these calls. This is not, I've said this before, this is not for the weak of heart. People just want to dip and dive and have one foot in both, have a foot in each yard. No, it's all or nothing.
I agree.
And so when I do this, I'm just sitting there. This is how I separate the deities from the mortals. It's like, that's why. And again, as we're on this subject, even though I don't agree with because I know the South Carolina flag is a distraction. Again, who's fighting? The women. The women are fighting. The men ain't fighting. These men over here, like a wise man told me, a master taught me, he said, you peel the skin off the average American black man, you're going to find a naked woman. And now here we are. They're putting either the chemical in there or they're putting it out through the media. It's all right. Now I got to start looking at women funny. As okay, let me check their throat. I thought that was a woman. No, that ain't no. These are men. What? So now I'm like, yo, the solution, no makeup. Because that's the only way they can fool you is with makeup. No makeup. let's see them try that now. You see how nature is very, very simple?
Yes.
So if you can't tell the difference between a man and woman because of the makeup, okay, solution is quite simple. No makeup.
Take it off, right.
No makeup, especially no weave.
Completely exposed.
Exactly. This is how the animals in nature operate. Everything is laid out on the table. No surprises. You know what you're dealing with. Except for you got that crazy Amorite who sprayed himself with elk scent during mating season. Then when an elk came out to mate and realized it was a human, started kicking his butt. And he's lucky the elk didn't even use his antlers. Oh, yeah, videos on YouTube. But this is what I'm saying. So, like I said, now because of the changes and things that are happening, again, I've always said this before in the beginning. I said it's the women. It's always the women that's going to be doing stuff. The men ain't doing. The men are. They will come afterward. You know, just a little slow. You know, it is what it is. You know, but and that's how it is. And it's like when you see the sisters scaling it to bring the flag again. The women do that type of stuff. The men don't.
Yeah.
So just thought you'd, like to know that. Excuse me.
Much appreciated, Chief.
And you're much appreciated as well. Hotep.
Hotep.
Okay, Central Time Zone. Any man from Illinois, Minnesota, Louisiana, Texas, any man in the Central Time Zone. Now's the time. Going once. Going twice. Going 3 times. Central Time Zone. Men, this is Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Iowa, Winnipeg, Saskatchewan. Okay. Now we move on to the next time zone. Mountain Standard and Pacific. We're going to merge any women in the Mountain Standard Pacific time. So that was Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver. That will be California, Oregon, Arizona. Any women in those time zones that have a question? Hotep.
This is Koyanka, a.k.a. Kamiko from California. And
I'm on the table.
We got cut off at the end of last week's call, but I would like for you to go a bit more in detail about the indigenous appellations. I've heard what Tosh Street Day and some of the other, whatever out there giving their take on it, but I'm interested in what you have to say and why it's imperative to use our indigenous appellations on our statutory declaration.
Because you don't have a UCC1 filed yet, and you don't own it. You don't own the name. It's a nom de guerre. It's a war name. It's for the purposes of commerce. And what did I just read? I read what is this? From the Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. I read, it's talked about diversion and the primary, no, not that one. Where is it? Logistics. And it said, this is where the process of synthesis properly begins, at the time of the birth of the individual. Synthesis. So you're taking something which is natural and you're making it artificial. You grasp that?
Is that only by creating a birth certificate and social security number at the time of the birth, or simply having a last name that's not one of the indigenous appellations?
No, it's the contract. What is the thing that governs everything on this planet?
Contracts, yes, correct.
Commerce. So it's maritime law. Your waters are protected under Article 19 of the UN International Law of the Sea. So from the time the child docks, it's established because where was the child born? In a hospital. What is a hospital? A corporation. See how they trick you?
What if a child wasn't born in a hospital?
Follow me.
Okay.
This is because I'm answering your question. I'll get with that in a second. when the child is born in the hospital, is it real or is it a fictitious entity / corporation?
Corporation.
Okay, so therefore, can the dead speak to the living?
No.
Or let's put it in another term that's a little bit more accurate. Can that which is inanimate speak to that which is animate?
No, it cannot.
Okay, so if a child is born in a hospital, which is a corporation and a fictitious entity, which unto itself on a piece of paper is inanimate, the only way they could deal with that, they would have to prove that the child is what? Fictitious itself. Right?
Yes, correct.
So they have to issue the birth certificate, and the birth certificate and the the birth certificate and the Social Security number confirm that the child is not real. Deep, isn't it? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, let me see. Did you hear what I just said?
Yes, but they have to make the child unreal so that it can interface with the corporation or the hospital.
No, not to interface. It'll prove that the child is not real.
Yes, okay, correct.
So therefore, at the time the child is born and the child gets birth certificate, Social Security number, therefore isn't the corporation, meaning the hospital, the doctor who has a license, which is a corporate contract, doesn't that absolve them of liability of traversing natural law?
By having their certification? I don't follow that part.
Okay.
How that
We've already established that the child has to be issued the birth certificate and the Social Security number. Okay, we got that. And the corporation provides that to prove that the child is fictitious, correct?
Yes.
So now, by them doing that, doesn't that make the corporation, doesn't that mean that they are staying in honor and have not violated natural law?
Because those contracts were consented to?
Number one, they were consented to, but what's more important is the fact that if they were real, they would not come to the hospital for the birth, because by going to the birth, it's what? A benefit.
Going to the birth is a benefit?
Going to the hospital.
To birth. Oh, I see, yes.
Is a benefit. So if you were really free, here's a case in point. Do the females in do the females in nature, the birds, the female jaguars, the cougars, well, maybe not the cougars, the elephants, the whales, do the females of those species have to go to a hospital to give birth?
No.
So if they can give birth without the aid of man, are those females not in line with natural law?
Correct.
So now, any upright, standing on 2 feet, human, whatever terminology you want to use, goes to a hospital to get a doctor of a corporation to deliver their child, how can that mother or their child say that they're following natural law when they did not follow natural law for the child to be born? Guli Ra'il.
I see, I agree.
Okay. So now let's look at this another way. This is going to mess with your mind a little bit, and that's the point. So now, is the corporation really in dishonor, or are humans the ones in dishonor?
Then we are, because we veered from our natural state, not the other way around. They're doing what they as inanimate corporations.
So if they're doing it in a corporate state and people are trying to say they want to get in tune with Mother Nature, then the first things have to, now if I get kicked off, you know why. What first thing's supposed to happen, no women should be going to no hospital to give birth to their children. Because right off the top, they violated natural law.
Correct.
Okay. So now, for those women that do give birth at home with a midwife, or if they're, or if they're traveling, and that happens, or at a wedding, those women are what? Are they or are they not in tune with natural law? You there?
Yes. More so, but while I was pregnant, I was also studying about unassisted birth, and that was deemed to be natural. But I feel like we're more of a pack, like tribal species. So
no, I'm talking.
Midwives would still be natural.
I'm talking birth. I don't care if it's a midwife or the woman is caught and she delivers the child herself with no help. I'm talking about the fact that this woman did not have to go to a corporation for her child to come forth. That's my point.
Okay, yes, and that's in our natural state.
So therefore, obviously the Most High must have made it for a woman to be able to give birth. She might need some assistance, but the child is going to be born under natural law. You follow?
Yes.
So if the woman goes to a hospital with the exception of, like a C-section or what have you, or, some type of emergency, they are not supposed to be, they would be in dishonor. They'd be going against natural law. Right?
Yes. Yes. Correct.
Okay. So now, how can people get upset when the state is saying, okay, you got to give these kids these vaccines, and that's my child. The vaccines are killing. Did not the parents contract the child to the state?
Yep. It's the issue nobody's bringing up here in California with the vaccine issue.
Yeah, and Jim Carrey came out and Jim Carrey spoke about it, and I was like, everything that they're saying is right. There's only one problem. People have contracted with the corporation as their property.
Yep.
So now I ask the question, it's going to rub people the wrong way. So now, are the parents who don't want their children vaccinated but consider themselves citizens of the state of California, are they in dishonor, or is the state committing genocide against them?
It's the parents who haven't corrected their status or are allowing themselves to be citizens.
So if their contract, I don't care if they're white, black, whatever, it makes no difference, because they say there's too many of y'all anyway, and y'all are goyim human chattel anyway. The whole point of the matter here is this. Parents have contracted for what? Benefits. As it said, people want what? Where is it here? There was just too funny. I was reading it. Yes, the artificial womb, and it was saying, summary. People hire the politicians so that people can obtain security without managing it, obtain action without thinking it, inflict theft, injury, and death upon others without having to contemplate either life or death, avoid responsibility for their own intentions.
Wow.
I don't know what that was.
No.
Wow.
So you can see, when you start looking at this at its fundamental level, Kamiko, you there?
Yes.
So when you look at this at this fundamental level, we know it's commerce, we know it's contracts. Who's really in dishonor?
We are. We don't know ourselves and assert it.
So therefore, I'm in full agreement with the mindset of what they were called the Illuminati or the Illuminated was, yeah, people don't want to use their intelligence and they've been told and they know better, forget it, then, yeah, put them on a plate, eat them.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not forget one thing. Now what's happening is they're saying people are dumbing themselves down just so they can have friends. So they're using that peer pressure for people who are very intelligent that are becoming stupid, so this way they can have friends. That's why at the beginning of this weekly addresses, when Sa says you'll be alone, and I'm gonna really refine that, or I'm gonna make that more solid and more sharper. I'm gonna sharpen that by saying you're never alone. The Most High is always with you. But the thing is, you're going to be walking this path by yourself. And that's the problem. People are constantly looking for, I want to have people around me 24/7, 365. That doesn't always happen. Everything fluctuates.
Mm-hmm.
So when people who have children, whether it's dealing with the issue of the vaccines, the parents have to look in the mirror and say, okay, you guys contracted with that state and say you're citizens and you're getting all the benefits and the perks, and that's the trap. And now they're saying, okay, we know this stuff got neurotoxins. We know it's going to give these kids autism. We don't care. Too many of y'all any damn way, and we need to dumb this stuff down if we're trying to bring this new world order in. And then the parents don't want to acknowledge the fact that there's fraud going on. They didn't care before. Now they care about their children. Now.
Yep.
Now, who was in? And as we already established, the parents were the one that was in dishonor. Whether they knew or not they were selling their children is not relevant at this point. They had a responsibility to know. Now, granted, it's a 5 monkeys and 100 monkeys thing where if we teach one group and then move them out one at a time, everyone does the same thing. Now people know. They don't have an excuse anymore. So if they're not going to bring up, and this is primarily directed at, because you know who the vaccines are directed mostly at. They're directed mostly at the Nubian children.
Mm.
Yep.
So the Nubian parents are too stubborn, ox-headed, and too much under that Willie Lynch worshiping white Jesus crap, then they deserve for their children to get back. And it's a shame, but the parents don't care because the parents want what? Security and comfort. You getting this?
Yep. And on a side note, it just occurred to me, earlier I saw a political cartoon kind of thing of the vaccine in California, and basically it was just the California flag, and then it had syringes in the corner, and it had a Nubian baby in the mouth of the bear on the California flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't any other ethnicity of the baby.
Yeah. That's who it's targeted. So I mean, Jim Carrey can get mad and say all they want about the vaccine. He on contract. He should know. Go back, watch a movie you did called The Truman Show.
Yep.
See, the reality of the contracts is coming up, and people don't want to deal with that. They want to say it's wrong. So if it's really that wrong, guess what's supposed to happen? They were supposed to say something. Even now, after this year, now because we have that certified order of an SF-181, now Nubians, the parents can now bring in and utilize international law, and that's going to put pressure. But watch, I'm telling you this, you are going to see major fight coming from the Boule, coming from these black intellectuals now. Watch. They're going to show you their true colors now. Because they're concerned, again, it comes back to they've created the artificial womb, which is their house or their life, excuse me, and they don't want to deal with the reality of that being changed. So there is a solution. That's for the parents out there, specifically in California. If you don't like it, then you better pack up and leave. That's your only choice. Any other questions?
Yes, so I'm still curious how that ties into our indigenous appellations. So every other last name than those 5, or surname than those 5, aren't native and would be invalid on a statutory declaration?
No. The thing is with the indigenous appellation, that is natural. That has nothing to do with their system, and you're stating that this is how you choose to be called. However, for the purposes of contract, you're not going to give them your indigenous appellation for them to assume jurisdiction. You say, well, you guys create this account. I'm the beneficiary via a statutory claim, and when you get to that point, you'll get a better clarity of that, because the statutory claim is in line with the 1666 Sestekivi Trust and the 1707 Sestekivi Trust Act. So once a person has been missing for 7 years, like that movie with Tom Hanks, Lost, he's legally declared dead. That's maritime law. So then when you come back, oh no, I wasn't dying on an island someplace. Then you have to do a declaration or some type of affirmation, legal affirmation has to be made. A legal document has to be issued stating that the person is alive. Now, with regards to Social Security card, the Social Security number, that is a trust that they set up. And so that trust, they've already been dipping into that, and you're considered dead as the trustee responsible for paying the debts of that trust. See how they flipped it on you? Are you there?
Yes.
You see how they flipped it on you?
Mm-hmm.
So now this is where economics, mathematics, electricity, this is where you must know law/legalese and comprehend that the purpose of that is for you to pay the debt. They're passing debt on to you. A person who has more Federal Reserve notes is admitting they are holding more debt.
Yep.
So just thought Jonah Bay might want to know that when he's consulting people on Wednesdays, he's holding debt. So the purpose of the indigenous appellations to show a separation, and you're not to be assumed as the fictitious entity on those cards or those IDs. You follow?
So changing the case of our name, instead of it being in all caps, isn't enough to disassociate us with the corporation?
You're on contract. You have to dispute the contract. What did I just read on Silent Weapons? It said the biggest thing that they need is what? Consent. Did you hear that earlier?
Yes, but what if we did our statutory declaration, but we used our birth name, our given name?
That's not your birth name. It doesn't belong to you. It doesn't matter if your mother gave it to you. It's on the registration. You don't own it.
I see.
Let me put this in some simple terms. You own nothing. You are human chattel, economic slave. Your purpose is to continue to drive the machinations of this machine that they have created by giving you illusionary and artificial trust in lies that they created for the purpose of taking your energy, which is what you expend, whether you're working or any type of commercial activity. They are siphoning that off. So the name your mother gave you doesn't mean nothing. You don't own it. She sold you. She's the informant. Contract. Consent if you say nothing. Agreement and tacit consent if you continue to say nothing. At that point now, acceptance, where offer was given to the mother, she accepted, now you must comply. Now, once you know that it's fraud, then you must what? State that it is fraud, and what do? Once you state it's fraud voids the contract ab initio because you were induced or your mother was induced to sell you. You were put into a contract you had no knowledge of, and it went at the state of maturity, which they would say would be 18, and it's not really 18. They just say you're an adult. But maturity, you could have people that's 60 years old, 50 years old, 40 years old that ain't mature. But if you were put into a contract and weren't known, you have to be given full disclosure, which they aren't doing. So the statutory claim brings up the fact that you know that there is a maritime a contract out there, and because you are not dead or lost at sea, you are alive. Now all the maritime contracts have to cease, which will assist you in discharging any potential debts or any current debts. Because once you are saying, I'm not the trustee, meaning I got to go to work to pay this debt, I'm the beneficiary. And what takes this further, being that you're indigenous, you have claims to what? The land, which also means what? The resources, which means you should be having the Sacagawea $1 coins in your possession as evidence, as she was the first indigenous postmaster and the wife of Ben York. And because of House Joint Resolution 194, where the Congress said, we acknowledge we robbed you of your names and your heritage, now you can't attribute every Nubian only coming from Africa, because the evidence is showing we were already here. So as such, you deliberately, talking about the U.S. corporation and its subcorporations, all the different states and counties have deliberately misclassified, misidentified, and are attributed and have committed identity theft against us. You get that?
Yes.
So this is the reason why you're not going to use that. You're stating that, okay, the all caps is the corporation. The upper and lower slave name was flesh and blood. So if they took it and then all capitalized it, that's theft. That's theft of intellectual property. That's genocide, apartheid, rape, forced assimilation, trafficking in human cargo. You follow?
Yes.
So all this has to be, has to be done, and that's the purpose for it. So now any damages, any damages that you have now, you can now utilize human rights thanks to, what's her name, for the state attorney of Illinois, Lisa Madigan, who said that human rights applies in the United States, human rights applies to all levels of government. Overstood?
Yes.
Are you there?
Yes, overstood. Sorry, I keep muting my phone in between.
So now, what this means is the question has to be put to Cornell West, Tavis Smiley, who else is Cynthia McKinney, who's the next one, Maxine Waters, who's the next one, who else, some public figures out there pertaining to some NAACP, National Action Network, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, all these guys. You're telling me they don't know this? You see my point?
Yeah.
They cannot sit there but this is what they're doing because they're worshiping what? The fiat. When you see people taking pictures with fiat that you know they don't have, that person is a fiat worshiper.
They're willfully ignorant or agents?
Both. And I classify agent as not necessarily one who works for the U.S., but somebody who's against anything that's positive, aggressive, positive, agreeable, and progressive. Then you get to, government agent. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So this is the solution. Oh, yeah, almost forgot Farrakhan, him and that Million Man March nonsense coming up in D.C. This is what they're supposed to be talking about. And I told you, they can't talk about it because this Silent Weapons for Quiet War has already said what? The objective where is it here? I like this one. Diversion, not diversion summary. Each class, this is under the amplification of energy sources. It says each class in guaranteeing its own level of income controls the class immediately below it. Hence, preserves the class structure. This provides stability and security, but also government from the top. So them black preachers that's taken in $40 billion over 20 years, that the grandmother's been giving money every week, and then when she has a commercial issue, they can't give her nothing. Now you know.
Marcella.
So this is all games. You follow?
Yes.
So that's the reason why you have to have an indigenous appellation, because you're stating that I was forcibly assimilated, and since South Joint Resolution says we are able to, we rob them of their names and their heritage, I'll claim your name and heritage, and you don't have to go in front of no corporate adjudicator to do that. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. And then as we take on our indigenous appellations, do we then become the matriarchs and patriarchs of that appellation, or would our
No, you don't become the matriarch or patriarch. You don't become the matriarch or patriarch of that appellation. That appellation.
No, I apologize.
Huh?
I apologize. I just mean that all of your children and grandchildren and so on would take on that same surname, or would they each be able to choose their own amongst the five?
Well, amongst the what? Well, no,
there's five, correct?
You're still thinking in terms of European first name, last name. Some of us had he who walks with the water, and that was it. That was it.
Yes, I'm still using the language I'm accustomed to, but I mean.
So if for example, you have some people who have Ray as a quote unquote surname, because that's the Christian's concept. Then you have El, and then you have some who have different ones. Setmen Kepera. It all depends on who the individual is. You decide that. I don't decide that, but I'm saying this. If for the purposes of commerce, you give them that commercially because they can't deal. You want that staying over there. But what it will allow you to do as you get on and get into your UCC, you'll be able to sign in that debtor name as a secure party and not accrue any liability, because it's a monopoly game being played on your land. You follow?
Yes.
Are you there?
Yes. So then you're saying that our indigenous appellation does not have to include either El, Al, Ali, Day, or Bay?
No.
It could be anything, as long as
it's
what the name on the paperwork is.
Not the name what?
From my videos and studying with.
Hold on. Who are you studying with? Who were you studying with?
Oh, not studying with. I should studying of, or through.
No, because when you say El Beyday and Ali, now I'm hearing Moorish Science Temple. So what's going on there? Where is that coming from?
That was just my foundation of introduction to this. So that was my, I won't say understanding or not necessarily.
Yeah, but who? So you obviously went to. So obviously you went to a temple. So which temple did you go to?
Oh no, it's purely YouTube based. My online education.
Yeah, by whom? Who did you see that said El Beyday or Ali?
Tosh Tariq Day, and the ones you list.
Okay, so my point here is this. They have a tendency to tell people you could just put El Beyday or Ali at the end of the debtor name and that's sufficient. No, because it's still contracted with them underneath the U.S. corporation. You can't put Beyday, El, or Ali, even if that Philadelphia resolution allows for it. The problem is the U.S. is a corporation. It is not an organic government. This is what people are not getting. Do you get what I just told you?
I agree that the U.S.
No, I didn't ask you if you agreed. I asked you, did you get what I just said?
Yes, I understand.
No, because you're hesitating. Hear what? Let me get something clear here. Your indigenous appellation has nothing to do or not even resembling that slave name. Do you get that?
Yes, but that if somebody were to be called by their birth parent, runs with wolves or something, and had that on their birth certificate and social security number, then that, which could have been an indigenous appellation, would then be a corporation. So is the only distinction between what's indigenous or not, whether it's on paper or whether it's contracted with the U.S. corporation?
Well, the point of the thing is it's been waived. So even if it is an indigenous appellation, it's been waived, and then the assumption is that person who uses that is going to be underneath the jurisdiction of that corporation. Do you follow?
Yes, so there's no limitation then to, not to use the European languages of surname, but there's no limitation then to the indigenous appellation in order to, because that was my deduction from what I had studied before, is that you had to use one of those 5 names. It's what's taught in the Moore Science.
Yeah, but that's Moore Science Temple nonsense. This is what I just told you.
Yes,
I'm telling you, I mean, if you have a completely different, it cannot resemble, because then they can use Edom sonans on you and assume, oh, well, since her name was Margaret Walker L., it's the same person. They'll automatically assume jurisdiction because you using an Edom sonans. It sounds like the same name.
Oh, no, we were changing our other parts of our name as well. For my son and I.
Anything else?
No, that's all. Much appreciated.
Hotep. Any other woman in the Pacific and Mountain Standard Time Zones that have a question? Going once. Going twice. Going 3 times. Okay, any men in the Pacific and Mountain Standard Time Zones? Mm-hmm. California, Washington State, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, going once, going twice, going 3 times. Okay, so we're going to go over to Skype. Anybody who's on Facebook, put in your Facebook questions, and we'll go to Skype. So any women on Skype that have a question. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Okay, any men on Skype that have a question? Hotep.
I was asking about expert information. Why did you choose 0 degrees latitude and 25 degrees longitude for the export declaration of U.S., Canada, and Mexico? Why that specific location?
Because I wanted it in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and then the confirmation was when Representative Kanjorski said someone threw us in the middle of the Atlantic. That's when they had a 5 trillion or a 500 trillion? Which one is now? I can't even recall right now. 5 trillion electronic run on the banks. And they said if the Federal Reserve, which Jonah Bay likes flashing their fiat, didn't step in within 24 hours, the whole monetary system, the U.S. system would have crashed, And then what would have happened is the entire monetary system worldwide would have crashed. So that's why I picked right there in the center, whether you want to call it divine guidance or what have you. But what's interesting is if you watch that movie Jupiter Ascending, she said she was born on a ship somewhere over the Atlantic. Representative Kanjorski says someone threw us in the middle of the Atlantic without a life raft. Excuse me. Nobody wants to talk about that. These are all the guys who are supposed to be conscious. They're not talking about it, so that's fine. And I mean, at this point, it's obvious we know what these guys are about. You know, it's plain to see. So notice that website is not come down. Why? Now Puerto Rico, let's not forget, Puerto Rico is looking at filing Chapter 9 bankruptcy protection. I don't think they'll be able to get Chapter 9. They might as well just call it a wrap, because remember, it was about 3 years ago they voided out all the birth certificates from Puerto Rico. Some people seem to have forgotten about that. I said, well, I know why, because I put a 999 trillion euro bond on file. Now Greece is bouncing. I was like, look, I'm the principal. I'm coming forward. I'm saying I want my principal and interest. They don't have they could print fiat from now till whenever. I said, if it's functional, I work with it. Other than that, resources. The rest of these guys flashing fiat on a blog talking about you counseling people on Wednesday, Jonah Bay. You holding debt. That's how I can tell these guys don't know what the hell they're talking about. What did J.P. Morgan say? Gold is money. Everything else is credit. And you counseling people, Jonah Bay? Please. Next question.
That's it.
Oh, that's it?
I got one.
Yes, and you are? Oh, okay. The man from Illinois.
Yeah.
What's that?
What's up? What's your take on the magic finding these 4 million records in the South of so-called former slaves?
Oh, I don't have I didn't know about that, but it's not a take. I only got one thing to say. SF-181. Well, actually, no, 2 things. House Joint Resolution 194. Oh, hold on, 3 things. S-Con-Res 26. Oh, hold on again, 4 things. International Decade for People of African Descent. Oh, wrong, 5 things. United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Oh, number 6 things. Congressional Record, page 83220. Congress is not bound by the Constitution. Oh, 7 things. What's her name from Illinois? I just said her name. Lisa Madigan. Much appreciated. Lisa Madigan. Human rights applies to all levels of government. What was that? 7? Let's see, 8 things. Oh, yeah, International Post-Secondary Education Data System. Let's see, 9 things. What would be the 9th thing? Oh, yeah, United Nations Charter. Oh, 10. The Title 18 United States Code Section 1091. And for those that don't know, that's the U.S. domestic definition of genocide. That's why. 11 things. Let's not forget. Remember Ben Affleck and his slave lineage. Remember, and he was hiding that. Okay, now they turned around. And what did they do? They pulled the show.
Yeah. Right
now, the Sony leak, so-called, said, yeah, this is what they would lose the brand. So who's the next person? Who's the guy who, I forget his name. See, that's how you can tell when I can't recall these guys' names, so they really wasn't important. Louis Gates Jr. Oh. So now Louis Gates Jr. knew this, still went ahead. So now how the hell is he support? Oh, which reminds me. Okay, I'm going to let you do this. You continue, and then we're going to go in because this ties into the next thing. So continue.
Looking at is various events and how these Amorites are kind of positioning themselves with different things. And I just kind of want your opinion of what you see happening, because, for instance, with the racial profile thing, what I see happening now is all of a sudden a lot of these folks are going to start claiming black. Nobody wanted to be, but now all of a sudden everybody going to have some black family somewhere, this, that, and the other. That's what I see coming down the pipe.
Well, it's not. Remember, they can't. You remember, she gave you the clue. She said she identifies as black, but she's coming from what? An anthropological standpoint. You follow? We already know what the integrated post-secondary education data system, that's put up by the U.S. Department of Education. So, High Frequency should do himself a favor and really do some research. The federal government is putting that out. All them black students going to college and university and graduating, they're still ignorant because it's right there on the form. Now, yes, people are going to want to claim that they have melanin. I don't doubt that, because that's going to be the basis. That's why I had said this last year around this time. Why do you think Madonna and who's the next one? Angelina Jolie and Sandra Bullock and all of them are adopting these Nubian children. I said, okay, we already know what the real deal is, correct? With the right, you know this, okay? So now, why don't they go after the children in the 9th Ward, in the ghetto in Chicago, in Ohio? They're not picking them kids. They're going to Africa. Why? Because when they come over, they have to go through what? U.S. Customs. And the U.S. Customs, thanks to Professor Hefney, I just wish he's not going to win that. It's like he's still fighting, and now he's being really silly now. Right? And he's supposed to be intellectual. He's not going to win that. And I know the ego is like jacked up because he sacrificed and went through unnecessary pain, and now has to realize that the U.S. Congress, not the Congress, the Customs told him, in this country you're white. I'm up here, Edmonton, Alberta, spoke with a brother from Eritrea, because he saw me with my tarba on, and he was like, well, you're black. I said, I'm not black, I'm white. He said, how are you that? So then I spoke with him, and I said, because in your country, do you call yourself black? He said, no. I said, you're from a tribe, clan, or a village in Eritrea, right? He said, yes. So you guys don't call yourself by color, only over here. I said, they lie to get you guys to use that word. So it clicked with him. I was trying to go, deeper, and as always, when you sitting there, all of a sudden, the stuff I was waiting for comes up.
Right.
So yes, they're going to claim that. I already see that. What they're concerned about is that standard Form 181, because the government put that out. I'm the first one. So anybody that does an SF-181, if they think they're separating from me or that they don't want to be associated, they are a fool, because they will check the data to see I was the first one that did it and published it online. And if anyone's got something before 2007 that's a melanonite, then let me see what you got. But I know I'm the first one. So if they're concerned, they want the glory and the beauty of the SF-181, but they don't want any potential liability, like it talks about silent weapons for quiet wars. People don't want liability or responsibility. You effed up when you did your SF-181 because they know I'm the one that showed you all.
Okay, and that kind of leads me into the next maybe a couple of things, and then I'll see the floor to somebody else. That's what I'm getting to. Some of these so-called leaders, like you've been suggesting, even this.
Not suggesting, stating. These are facts now.
Fine, stating.
Did he get knocked off? Or does he know he's knocked off?
Yeah, I thought that was me. I got knocked off 3 times.
He's calling back in.
Calling back in.
Affirmative.
Hotep.
Hotel.
Okay, please repeat your question because that's a good. Repeat that part because they cut me off. I didn't want to stop you from talking, but okay. Leads you into your next question regarding everyone wants to claim blood type. Continue.
Okay, let me go back to the beginning of that.
Yes.
What I was saying was that what you were saying a couple of weeks ago about Marilyn Mosby and other so-called black leaders, Louis Farrakhan, and some of these other, Jesse Jackson, some other people. It's going to be very interesting to see whether or not they had already filed an SF-181 and didn't tell anybody. That's going to be on to them. And then I asked you if you were aware back, like I said, a couple of years ago, back in Israel, where a lot of people were making a mad rush to either have their DNA analyzed or to have a blood test taken to see what blood type they were.
Yes. Okay, and the question is?
The question is, do you kind of see a snowballing effect of that type of thing happening?
Well, I would attribute that's happened because of the weekly address when, which one was it? I think it was 57 where he had put up, no, I think it was 56 where 55 I think it was, where he would put up the different blood types because the sister out in California had asked quote elite practice eugenics. Now let's keep something. See, now again, they spin this to make it seem like it's so evil, but who did they learn it from? The Egyptians. So in other words, they learned it from us.
Okay, and I guess what I'm really getting to is what do you really see as the tipping point for the scales to rebalance?
Oh, the tipping point was when they showed Rachel Dolezal's SF-181. That was the tipping point. When they showed that on MSNBC, and then the guy asked her, "Are your parents African?" She just drops her head and walks off camera. That was the tipping point. That told me that I said CNN because people don't know the CNN. They listen to a lot of community radio. They don't say nothing, but they listen. Like the brother, I forget who he used to be up in the music industry. He's on YouTube. I saw it a few years ago, and he said that what these Amorites do is they sit and listen to black hip hop. And he said, "Why y'all listen to it?" He said, "Because this is where we can get a pulse of what you all are listening to and what your mind is." So the tipping point, excuse me, was Rachel Dolezal. And I said before that, it's going to take an Amorite person, I didn't specify whether it was male or female, that will cause this to be looked at. Because the sign was when Melissa Paraseri on MSNBC said, "Oh, the ones who attacked Freddie Gray in Baltimore, they must have been white African American." So now they're playing the word game. So when Rachel's stuff too, and what is it? The women start first. So now,
I think that's true, and I kind of want to wrap it up with this. What do you think that the societal and political landscape is going to start looking like
a lot of revelation going to come. That Hillary or Hillary.
I mean, the jamming frequency, yo.
Domestically are now have to be paid attention to. What I mean,
they're really hating. Really hating.
They like somebody hit the nerve.
Big one.
Only prove one thing: white power.
White power.
White power.
White power.
White power. White power, white power, white power.
White power.
White power.
White power.
He's calling back in.
White power.
Thank you. He's calling back in.
Power.
Much
White
gratitude.
power. White power.
White power.
Right.
White power. White power.
Abud Gadur. So as I was saying, everyone keep don't let me stop you. As I was saying, what's happening now, Richard, is this. The landscape is going to be totally different than what people are dealing with. Now, keep in mind, Jorge, I'm talking about Pope Francis, he's going to be in D.C., I think, in another month or two. And I ended up, I thought his letter was going to be like 5 pages, and this thing is 79 pages for his encyclical letter, which is called Laudato Si, of the Holy Father on care for our common home. Right here, for those on Skype, y'all can see it. 79 pages. I was so mad.
Is that online?
Yeah, it's online. So if you Google, because I got this is straight off the Vatican website, so I got it straight off their website. So if you Google encyclical letter, Laudato Si. So Laudato is spelled Laudato, and then C is the second word with the asterisk, or not the asterisk, the apostrophe. So if you do encyclical letter Laudato Si, it should come up. And Laudato Si, mi Signore, means praise be to you, my Lord. That's how it's translated. I always thought Si meant yes in Spanish, but okay, well. But in any event, so getting back to what you were saying, Richard. So now what you see here is this. Everything is unraveling. The tipping point was Rachel. So now they start doing this. Oh, let's take the flag down of South Carolina. And I told you all this, but last week and the week before, and I'll keep reiterating it. As long as you continue to use the word black, they don't care. As soon as you say white, they do not want you saying that you're white. Because I said this before, the game, it's over. The entire system crashes. Everything is based on, as you know, not everything, but some monies that are allotted to places are based on demographics. Right?
Yeah.
So if the demographics fit a certain criteria and you have a certain group that are considered at the bottom of the barrel, you don't have to give them the most. You're going to give them the least, so therefore they stay in that position, in that quagmire. So yes.
I guess what I'm looking to find out from you is what types of specific events do you think will happen? I mean, just as a for instance.
Well, for instance, what's going to happen, there has to be a purging. See, with the situation with Rachel happening and them showing her SF-181 on MSNBC, which I said MSNBC was watching our weekly address, and our weekly address is connected worldwide, and International Cyber Task Force has every one of our weekly addresses. What this means now is this. They are increasingly running out of moves to make, which means at some point somebody, because the hint was Melissa Harris Perry. The next hint was Isaiah Washington when he said we need to stop calling ourselves black. That's two. Then the third one, which was major, was the comedian from South Africa. What's his name?
Trevor Noah. Trevor Noah.
What? Yeah, the one who's Trevor Noah. And then he said white is right, because he said we don't have these type of forms in South Africa. So I posted on his page to say, I know where you got it from. You didn't just think that off the top of your head. Get out of here. And if you did say you got it off the top of your head, you had to have gone through U.S. immigration. So they must have told you this is what you check off, because Professor Hesney, who's a Nubian from Egypt, said he was told by immigration, that's what they do. And then Sabir Bey, of all people, admitted that he knew a sister from, I think it was from Nigeria, and he saw the video, and he said they are told, all the Africans that come to the West are told to stay away from you all. So now here's the mixed up part. They're telling them that, but then you have countries in Africa like Ghana and are saying to come to Africa, come home. See the game? So the book that Dr. David Imhotep wrote, excuse me, the first Americans were Africans. All this is coming to a head where this has to be dealt with. It can no longer be ignored anymore. This is where we're at. We already have the issue with Greece cracking, because that's done deal. They're done. As far as I'm concerned, they're going to go over to BRICS, because Greece was never paying back their loans any damn way.
Well, Chief, from a very practical standpoint, I'm asking you these questions for a reason, because, first of all, I know this is going to be recorded, and I know it's going to be seen worldwide. And what I'm trying to do is to give people that may be listening to this for the first time, for them to be able to really put into context why they want to do this, why they want to get involved, why they want to do their SF-181, and so that perhaps, you can keep expanding on the practical things that are coming down the pike as to why people want to do this and need to do it.
Well, weekly address number 47 addresses what you're doing. That's it, in a nutshell. I spent 1 hour speaking with a sister she said, why are we doing this? I said, this is the reason why. So now, that's 47, so now we're at 61, and here we are, and the thing is now, at this point, with that order coming down from that court in Florida, this silences all these other guys out here saying why you should need to do it or why you shouldn't do it. This is proof. This is evidence. This falls under Title 42 U.S.C. Section 1986. It falls under Congressional Record, page 83220 of the UN Convention in association with the UN Charter, the U.S. Constitution, which we know it's void in court anyway, and the UN Convention on Economic, Social, Cultural Rights, UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and the UN International Decade for People of African Descent, which the same people that I've mentioned and some of them you've mentioned are not talking about. Like Farrakhan's talking all this other stuff, he's not talking about the International Decade for People of African Descent. So therefore, he falls underneath that demographic of the Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. His job is to maintain status quo. Malik Shabazz is not talking about it, and I know the brother in Nigeria, when they're putting on the International African what's called Pan-African Conference in South Africa. They were supposed to do it this year. They're pushing it off for next year, and he's the brother in Nigeria is the organizer, I said, yes, our nation wants an invitation to attend. And he said, well, Malik Shabazz is the one. Malik Shabazz is not even talking about that. So now all the people over in Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Ghana, those who are listening to our weekly address, now they know Malik Shabazz is an agent. And I called him out that because my challenge is call me. I gave him my phone number. I've called him twice. He has not said anything. So now he's sitting there talking about there's going to be blood in the streets. I'm like, dude, black has no standing at law. Answer that question, true or false. Can't answer it. So therefore, they're instigators to create a problem where thereby the status quo can provide the solution that they wanted anyway. So how you neutralize that type of stuff is you out the provocateur. You put them out on blast. You put the light on them, like I said. You walk in the light of the sun as if all, walk in the light of the sun as if all eyes can see you, for most certainly they do. And
that's fine, and that's what I wanted to urge. Like you suggested, I mean, playtime is over.
I'm not suggesting anything. Again, I'm interjecting for a reason. This is facts. This is mathematics, economics, electricity, quantum checkmate. So the only thing that Marilyn Mosby, Farrakhan, and the rest of them can do is ride it out, and they can hope for the best. That's all they can do, because they're not going to talk about this forum. They are not going to bring this up. That's their livelihood. They're not going to discuss it. Now, somebody else out there might discuss it once they start seeing it. Now that we got that court order, and that's published all on Facebook/CIA for the entire planet to see, there ain't nothing left to see. So watch this week. It's going to be very interesting on the subject, because you notice now how they're really focusing on race now.
Yeah.
They didn't care before. Now all of a sudden, it's race. Now it went from race to the flag in South Carolina. Now it's going from the flag in South Carolina, and then it went to gay rights. Then it went from gay rights, and so now it's like, okay, this is all a distraction. So if you look at this from the eyes of trying to identify a pattern, you can see somebody is concerned about what? The secret getting out that if these Nubians who call themselves black are not, they're white, game over. Because the definition is the giveaway. Rachel was the spark that created it. Then it backfired because they realized there's too many people out there listening to our weekly address. So now they said, well, we own the media, so we're gonna spin this. Excuse me. So now they're trying to spin it, because that's what I see. They're really trying hard. So then they said, okay, and they found this other woman, said, oh, no, she thought she was white, and now she's black. And so now they're trying to blur the lines of race. So now you won't be able to discern. Oh, it's real easy for us to discern. The answer, your hair. 9 ether, 9 to the 9th power of 9. Anything that grows toward the sun is 9 ether. Well, not anything. Let me get this cleared up. Anything that's natural grows toward the sun. Trees, plants, vegetation grow toward the sun. Anything that is away from the sun is recessive.
There you go. All right, well, I appreciate you indulging my questions, and I'll let somebody else come on.
Before I go to the next question, I do want to read this because I had meant to read it in case you don't have it. This is racism. This is my definition, because I took Dr. Cresswell Singh's challenge about doing the definition of racism, white supremacy. So I said, no, I'm going to call it what it really is, racism, leper supremacy. Now, this is the old definition. Racism, white supremacy is a local and global power system and dynamic structured and maintained by persons who classify themselves as white, whether consciously or subconsciously determined, which consist of patterns of perception, logic, symbol formation, thought, speech, action, and emotional response as conducted simultaneously in all areas of people activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Excuse me, for the ultimate purpose of white genetic survival and to prevent white genetic annihilation on planet Earth, a planet upon which the vast and overwhelming majority of people are classified as non-white, meaning black, brown, red, and yellow, by white-skinned people, and all of the non-white people are genetically dominant in terms of skin coloration compared to the genetic recessive white-skinned people. Now, this is the ISIS papers by Dr. Cresswell, seeing the keys to the color. Now, at the 20-minute and 15-second mark of Dr. Cresswell Singh's interview on high frequency, Dr. Cresswell Singh says, if anyone has a better definition, give it to me. Now, I had somebody who was supposedly seeing Dr. Cresswell Singh in one of her events out at the first part of the year. They never got back to me. So here I am. So those who have this, anybody who's got access to Dr. Cresswell Singh, and I put it on her, I have put it on her, the Dr. Cresswell Singh group page on Facebook. No response. I'm not expecting one. But those who have it, go ahead, post it again. Because at some point I'm going to call Dr. Cresswell Singh or try to do my best to get in touch with her and say, here's my definition. I say my definition is better than yours. I'm not putting down Dr. Cresswell Singh. What I'm saying is we're refining it, or scratch refine. We are sharpening it based on the integrated post-secondary education data system. You get that, Richard? So this is what we are sharpening it, because it's real easy to say white, black, but then when you look at the definition of black racial groups or Africa, there are none.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate you.
I'm not finished. I mean, I'm not finished, but because I want to tie in, you finishing with this. Now, according definition of racism. Now, this is January 17, 2014, when she was on his show. This is the updated definition and current description. So now, I classified racism, race-ism equals leper-supremacy mission statement. Leper, albinism, misnomer, incorrect term white, genetic survival. Leper, albinism, supremacy's designed purposes for the genetic survival of leper, albinism, melanin-deficient beings / people, so-called misnomer, Caucasian race, misnomer, white-skinned people. Leper supremacy code. Black, you get back, brown, stick around, yellow, you are mellow, white, you are all right. Color code. Great threat you pose to leper genetic survival. Upon examination of the U.S. government, Title 28 U.S.C. Section 3002, Paragraph 15, a federal corporation equals commercial terms are used in people's daily lives within the matrix equals United States / United States of America. SF 181 form and the integrated post-secondary education data system. The term definition white, in fact, is talking about melanin-dominant peoples and does not apply to lepers. Now look at Holy Tablets, Chapter 6, Tablet 6, verse 277, for those that have it. Since black in the United States corporation has no standing at law, those who are being called black, Negro, colored, African American are in fact commercially white and as such have standing at law. See confession and admission by Alan West, who was the representative in Florida on Fox News, that U.S. President Barack Obama is the CEO. United States government exists only. Barack Hussein Obama on the Tom Joyner Morning Show posts via Facebook admission that black has no standing at law. When reading the ISIS papers, what is to be replaced with leper, as this is an accurate description. See Holy Tablets, Chapter 6, Tablet 6, verse 277 to 280. Race-ism equals leper-supremacy is the local, national, global, solar system, galaxy, matrix, 3D holographic, illusionary power system construct and dynamic. Structured and maintained by lepers, albinos / albinism - genetically recessive - beings who deliberately misidentify themselves as white when they are in fact lepers. Refer to definition above and Holy Tablets. Chapter 6, Tablet 6, verse 277. In association, this is key, in association with other non-planetary and interplanetary entities, whether consciously or subconsciously determined, which consists of patterns of perception, logic, symbol formation, thoughts, speech, action, spiritual, mental, temporal, energy, definition, code, language, tone, vibration, frequency, sound, light, resonance, motion, and emotional response as conducted simultaneously in all areas of people and commercial activity, economics, education, commerce, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, military, industry, sports, science, medicine, sex, and war, for the ultimate purpose of leper, misnomer, white genetic survival, and to prevent leper, misnomer, white genetic annihilation on Tiamat Ta Zurukaya. That's Holy Tablets, Chapter 6, Tablet 6, verse 56. Holy Tablets, Chapter 6, Tablet 6, verse 277 to 280. Holy Tablets, Chapter 6, Tablet 6, verse 284 to 289. Excuse me. Holy Tablets, Chapter 6, Tablet 7, verse 37 to 38. Misnomer, planet Earth, 95% of the planet is water. A planet upon which the vast majority of Ethiopian, Tamarayan, Cushite, Melanonite, Nubians, Nuwabians people are misidentified as black, colored, Negro. Misnomer, non-white, meaning Ethiopian, Tamarayan, Cushite, Melanonite, Nubians, Nuwabians people have been and are deliberately misidentified as black, colored, Negro. Misnomer, non-white by lepers. Misnomer white, when in fact, as per the U.S. Corporation Race and Ethnicity Identification Form SF-181 and the IPEDS, which is the Integrated Post-Secondary Education Data System, all Ethiopian, Tamarayan, Cushite, Melanites, Nubians, Nuwabians people are in fact white, and all of the Ethiopian, Tamarayan, Cushite, Melanites, Nubians, Nuwabians people misidentified as black. Dominant in terms of skin coloration, melanin, compared to the genetic recessive leper misnomer white people. Holy Tablets, Chapter 6, Tablet 6, verse 280. This is the second page what I read when I said racism, leper supremacy is a local. That was mine. The first was hers. The second was mine. So the reason that you're seeing all this happening now, Richard, is our weekly addresses are having an effect. And so now the time frame and the planning that they have, now that because they are what they're doing is I had did a Agni Hotre against the what are they called, the Archons, and what they're doing is duplicating reality. So they're creating a reality that they want that doesn't exist to make that manifest. But the problem is now they realize what their Achilles heel is. That standard Form 81 that they issued, because the definitions do not line up with what is said by people. You follow, Richard? Is he there?
Yeah. So I'm fully aware of the reality of multiple timelines.
Okay.
And how things manifest. What I was saying, for the purposes of this call and for the record, is that, again, anybody listening needs to understand that the heart of your problems, if you are a so-called black person, is, first of all, identity theft, and second of all, your misidentification of yourself as black. You need to get that point.
Accepted and agreed, and you're 100% correct. And so now continuing on with that, with what you were saying, here's the next thing that has to be acknowledged. Now that everything has been exposed because of the SF-181 and the iPad, all their plans are now in disarray. You follow? Richard?
Yeah.
Okay. Why? Because now you all know that the syntax being used is an incorrect syntax. So because of that, all the textbooks got to get changed. Commercial contracts got to get changed. School records got to get changed. Loans have to get changed. Stock market securities have to get changed. Mortgages have to get changed. Hollywood contracts have to get changed. And now that, because I didn't want to forget this, they now have another movie or TV movie called, a TV series called Tut, right, which is supposed to be a take on King Tut.
Yes, I heard about that.
Okay, so now they have some people who look kind of Middle Eastern-ish type whatever, right? But again, the servants and the security are all Nubian. They never leave that part of it out. But when it comes to the royalty, they make it a point. They have, what's his name, who played Gandhi, and then he was in, oh man, you all know who the guy is.
Ben Kingsley.
He played Gandhi, and he was in The Prince of Persia. He played the uncle in The Prince of Persia. Donald Sutherland. No, not Sutherland. Get the guy's name. But he played Gandhi.
Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley, towel hat. So Ben Kingsley is playing, he's playing, I think, Seti or whomever, one of the father of King Tut, Ankamun. No, I think he's playing E, the uncle. So notice, again, the programming. They make it a point that, okay, and this is where I was reading a document, I haven't finished it yet, but they were talking about they're using ancient Egyptian technology to create drones. So again, they're using our technology, and so what they're like, okay, the servant class or the servants will be the Nubians, and then the ones who are into the royalty will be the real light skin, real fair, and they put that image out there. So now, when you all start saying you're white, right? And remember, when the movie, what was it, Gods and Kings came out, Exodus, and they got on Rupert Murdoch about it, he said, all the Egyptians that I know are white. I said, y'all didn't understand something. He's a businessman. He told people the truth. He said, all the Egyptians that I know are white, but people are looking at it at skin color and not looking at it from the definition as per what? The standard Form 181. That's why I wish, it's just a shame Professor Hefney can't get this. He fought for 28 years to change his status from white to black, and even immigration told him in this country you're white, but he's looking purely from what? An educational, anthropological standpoint, not realizing the U.S. is a corporation. So that's
the key that you hit on, though, that I think is pretty important to reiterate right now is the fact that basically what you told us was that basically all contracts are invalid now.
Everything is invalid. Everything on the planet. That's why nobody talks about melanonite. They'll talk about they got the Bathsheba Trust. They got this one. They'll talk about that. I spoke with the woman who said she had a claim against Elizabeth. What was her name? What's her name? Something Windsor Craig. Excuse me. What was her name?
Emily. Now,
Emily had actually responded to me back in March. I only saw her response because a sister had asked me about her, and then I just went to her. I said, hold on, she didn't respond. So I contacted her, and I left her a message on Facebook, and I said I'm on Sky. I ain't heard nothing from her yet. Give her some time. And again, that SF-181 is an exposure. They don't even fit they don't fit any race on that form. So this is where now all everything, even on a quantum level. Okay, those of y'all that are on Skype, something happened and said we'll get the call back. So just hold on a second. I can still see you, but I don't know. You know how that goes. So the whole point of it is this, Richard. Even like I brought that up, and I said, so even the quantum that David Wynn Miller has done is incorrect if it does not consider the fact that the standard form and the race and ethnicity 9 to the 9th power of 9 has not been factored in, because that means we're close to what? Dark matter, which is ether. So if you leave out the element of ether, which is the foundation, as I read earlier, it's the foundation, dark matter is the foundation, then you've basically written yourself out of existence.
Well, that's why I mentioned on another call that really the only option for those folks is to really not just leave the planet, but to leave the solar system and possibly existence. So, yeah, I get that. I just, again, just from my own curiosity, I'm just wondering how all those things are specifically going to play out.
They're going to play out. They're going to play out, but the thing is, like I said before, people have to get themselves into position. Melanites have a very bad habit of sitting there and waiting and then want to come at the last second. And that's not how it operates. You have to be able to so much practically look into the unfolding world, as Michael Talbot said in the 3D holographic universe, that what happens here on this plane is actually an extension of what happened in the non-physical realm. So you have to look for us, you need to look for the subtleties. Right.
Again, for the purposes of this call, nobody can say that they haven't been told.
No.
If you don't get it from this call, you're not going to get it.
No. And this is why I don't have to sit there and appease people and talk nice to people. No, I'm telling you all straight up, this is what you all are. You all are slaves, and this is how they're treating you. I study the Mishnah, I teach the Mishnah, and I'm saying, damn, man, they're telling, and then all you got to do is listen to the Rabbi Finkelstein interview, and he told everybody the secret. Now, McDonald's sales are tanking. Why? Because people know now, again, and that's why Palestine is filing claims against Israel, and then I'm saying, and I put the Falashian Ethiopian the Falashian Ethiopian Jews, the Nubians that are over there, as well as the U.S., because the U.S. is a supporter of Israel, because they admit that they are kidnapping the Ethiopian children and taking their body parts on the, what was that one with the colors? What do they call it? The Tariq Nasheed's movie, Hidden Colors. And then they talked to Dick Gregory. He talked about organ transplants. They talked to Umar Johnson. He talked about the problem with the organ. They said it's a known fact that the best organs for transplants are Nubian organs. So now, with the standard Form 181, I mean, there is so many infinite things with that. Okay, I'm going to say this real simple. That SF-181 is a document confirming genocide by the United States Corporation against Melanites for those that do it. That's why the judge down in Florida signed off on it, because he knew what that meant. And since Congress is now bound by the Constitution, any judge ruling on any ruling of validity of legislation must have two books before him, the Constitution of the United States and the UN Charter, because the UN is a ratified treaty. That means what? That means they are now obligated. Once that form is presented to them, they cannot dispute the form. And so now the clerk, because everyone knows the clerk is the real judge of any court. The judge is an administrator. They got everybody looking at the judge. The clerk stamped that in red, not subject to debate. So, like I said, so with all these other guys who are saying, I don't know what I'm talking about, I said, hey, now you guys got to present your stuff. We got a document signed by an adjudicator. And let's not forget the fact that at Sakata Nation of Yamasee Moors, when we were at Sakata Clan of Yamasee Native American Moors, we got a letter from the clerk Middle District of North Carolina. That's been on the internet. And as I stated before, we published, I got the picture of the Sam Olin, posting the 4th of July stuff up on my Facebook page. So that SF-181 is the deadliest document out there. If they can't talk about that, there's nothing else. They can say anything they want. You can't go to the next level if they can't walk through that doorway and get this. Can't.
I would submit that they do know about it. I would submit that they're actually running scared now because they're going to have to explain to a lot of people why they didn't tell them this.
Yep.
And they're going to have to explain why they bamboozled these people out of funds, out of Federal Reserve notes. They're going to explain why they've been using them. They shouldn't have been. These people are in such a mess of trouble. I almost wouldn't wish it on them.
That's the contract that they made. That's the blood ritual and the blood agreement that they made because they looked at the money as real. So now, here we are saying, okay, you guys are saying I'm a fraud. I don't know what I'm talking about. Now, here it is, Rachel Dolezal, who's an NAACP. NAACP didn't even touch the issue, and they couldn't because her brother has got 4 felony counts of raping a Nubian child. And then she's working with the child. So her family, she got some complex family dynamic stuff going on, which I can accept. But the thing is, the NAACP president had a responsibility. But again, you got to call a spade a spade. He was told you do not comment. Them Jews told him you keep your mouth shut.
But here's how deep I see this is. I sent you about a week ago an article about how Facebook is now considered a means of serving public notice.
Yep.
And the thing about this, and again, that's why I feel that this is so deep, and people may not even fully understand the ramifications of all this right now, is that these public officials and these so-called judges or administrators actually have received notices of crimes, and they haven't done anything.
Yep.
They haven't taken action, and those are federal crimes, if not treason. So it's a lot of people that are in a lot of trouble right now.
Oh, no. I'm taking it higher. Forget treason, crimes against humanity. Because guess what happened? Who signed what was called the motu proprio back in 2013? Pope Francis. They don't have no immunity. So, and then before that, Barack signed an executive order allowing Interpol to come in.
That's right. Yep.
So these are little chips and little moves that have been made that people aren't catching. I'm connecting all the dots. Then the significance is the fact that Canada gave their jurisdiction over to the United States on February 2nd, 2011. So most of the people who consider themselves Canadian don't even realize they're under U.S. jurisdiction. And to prove my point, in Ontario, which is eastern so-called Canada, but is really known as Eastern Turtle Island, at the train stations there now, the U.S. police can be on Canadian soil at the train stations and the airports because they're trying to hash out the details, and they can basically be on guard in there with AK-47s, with machine guns right in the train station.
It's going to get a lot uglier before it gets prettier. But
well, it has to. That's the only way that's going to happen. The pain is not. I was just reading something about crystal technology, and they said people think that pain is against them. They said pain is nature's way of showing you something is wrong and to get back in harmony with nature.
Right.
So this is not a negative thing. But yes, all of them are like, I call their names out because I said, I'm the only one that's going to do it. Everyone else is sitting there smiling and showing their teeth. And I'm sitting there, look, Marilyn Mosby might mean well, but I know she ain't going to get no conviction.
And this is what I would really like to impress upon anybody that is listening this far, is that if you don't get any other point, if you are a so-called black person and you are still wondering why you are having to that you're having, it's because of that. It's because you're calling yourself black. And if you don't get anything else out of this, you need to think about why you're doing that and why you want to stop.
Agreed. Accepted. So, any other man on the Skype that's got a call? I'm going to take 2 more calls, and that's it for this week. Anyone on Skype got a question? Okay.
Tim, I got one.
Yeah, Aaron.
How is this going to play out with Farrakhan with this Billion Man March 20-year anniversary? How is that going to play out?
I don't know. It depends on. I'm not concerned about that because look at where they're going. 10 miles square into a corporation to talk to a corporation. Nation of Islam is a corporation on Dun and Bradstreet. So nothing from nothing, speaking to nothing leaves what?
Nothing.
And the challenge is there. So Minister Farrakhan, you got my cell phone number, 587-712-0639. You can get your secretary to call me if you feel that way. Because I responded to him on Twitter. He never answered. I was like, this. So that's how I can see they are leading people down like a Pied Piper to slaughter. We want justice or else. Black has no standing at law, so they have every right to whip your monkey ass.
Well, he's just doing his job.
I understand that, and I accept that for value and consideration. That's why he can't say that. So therefore, how dare he say, am I the only one that can speak truth to power? He's not speaking no truth to power. SF 181.
I need to start asking some serious questions.
And you ask the questions as soon as you see they got flustered and their CPU starts to crash. You're like, that's it. You already know. This is not a thing of you taking the and you have to inquire. Then you realize, okay, this person's programmed, and now it's not about the yang anymore. It's about the yin or being soft, as it excuse me, as it says in the Tao Si tongue. Soft always overcomes hard. So the question has been posed. Nobody said anything, etc. Oh, Ahanu, I see your question on Facebook. Don't go nowhere.
All right, I'm here. I'm on the phone.
All right, great. So this is my point. Is that now, as soon as you realize that there's the resistance, there's no need to fight anymore because they've already been beat. And they know it. They don't want the responsibility. They want to be taken care of. They're like overgrown children. There might be adults in body, but there's still children in mind due to programming. And if you if they show the initiative, they want to break out, you help them. But if you try to push them, the brain's going to crack like Neo on the Matrix and throw up. You can't deal with it. So that's it. So they're doing what they got to do, and I'm doing what I got to do. I'm putting it out there, broad daylight, and I'm exposing the truth. I was like, look, you're not going to solve nothing. It's going, and now that's Farrakhan. Let's talk about the Christian preachers before we finish. These Christian preachers, you know how much hot water T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar, Bishop Eddie Long, right? That's them. And then you got, who's the other one? You got Pat Robertson and Joel Osteen. You know how much trouble those guys are in now? So, yeah, it's going to get real ugly for them. Oh, yeah. All right?
Right. Yeah.
White power. Okay, Ahanu, you're since I don't want to lose, we're on this wavelength. You were saying I tried to ask a question, but time expired. I'm going to see Cresswell Singh tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow at 5 o'clock. And I want to let anybody know that's in the D.C. metropolitan area. She's going to be at the Tacoma Park Busboys and Poets at 5 o'clock.
To what?
She's going to be at the Busboys and Poets Cafe in Tacoma Park. In Tacoma Park, Maryland. If anybody is on the call that wants to join me, I'm going up there to ask her those questions.
What questions are you going to ask her?
About leper supremacy and about the iPad and about the SF-181.
Okay, and do you have the copy of the leper supremacy?
No, but since you just mentioned it, I'm going to seek that out and print it off so I can take that.
Yeah. Yeah, check on my, if you check on the homepage on Facebook, or you go to my photo album, it should be in an album.
Okay.
And you can download that. If you got a problem, just email me, and I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Because I have the JPEGs. Actually, you know what? Let me see here. While we're on this, let's do this. Let's do this right.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it on the weekly address. Where did I put it? Let's see. Is it under L? Oh, no, it's under R. I remember. I put it under R.
And also, while you're doing that, I'm going to have the rest of the donation by the end of this week. So,
all right.
I need to know what's my next move or what I need to do to get prepared.
Did you do your statutory claim?
Yep, claim. I did a claim, and I also did the draft for performance to the MSTA.
Oh, yes. Send me that affidavit so I can look that over before you send that off to MSTA.
You already did. You already did that. I already sent it off.
Oh, okay, I proofed that for you?
Yeah. Yes, you did.
Okay, and okay. So everybody can go there. The racism, leprosy, supremacy is there on the first. It's there. The first, the bottom one is the first, page 1. The top one is page 2. So the picture is there, and then I'm going to give it to you directly in the inbox here, Ahanu. So this way you have. I'll give you both of them. So we got this done, and. There we go. Okay, there you go. So there's both of them.
Okay.
So when you go see her tomorrow, you just let her, because she might not know about the form, but if she does, you're like, this is significant.
Right.
Because everything, when I mean everything has to get changed. So going back to what Richard was saying about, this is major. Like, yeah, this is why guys don't want to touch this, because they're like, no, they can't deal with it. It's like start from scratch all over again. So which is more important, starting from scratch, or just continuing to go on with the fraud and hope things get better?
Starting from scratch.
In truth, with facts, built upon facts, and not entering numbers or digits on a computer. So, yes, definitely keep me posted of what that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I will be looking for you. You can call me directly tomorrow if you need to.
Okay. And as far as the affidavit that I draft for performance, do you want me to wait till I get the green cards back before I post them or send them to you?
No, you could track them. You could track them online. You ain't even have to wait. That's what USPS.gov.com is for.
Right. So what I'm saying is, do you want me to download everything that I sent them on Scribe already prior to me getting the green card back?
Yeah, and then once you track it, if you want to wait for the green card, which is always better, wait for the green card and then scan the green card front and back plus what you already sent them first.
Okay.
This is for your statutory claim, or for the draft for performance for MSTA?
The draft for performance for the MSTA and the Yamasee Muskogee.
Okay, yeah. Wait for the green card, but put up what you sent them already.
Okay.
Because neither of them are going to respond.
Right.
And MSTA, which one is that? Which temple is that you were sending to?
The Morris Consulate Post in Chicago.
Okay, yeah. So don't be surprised if they return it.
Okay.
All right. So you keep me posted. I'll be looking for and like I said, if you're able to make an extra copy and you tell Dr. Cresswell saying that that you got permission directly from me to make sure she got a copy. I want her to have that.
Okay.
Because when she reads that, it's like that's gonna take ISIS papers to a whole different level.
Okay.
All right. So Hotep, Tawahad J. Couture, Barukat Ila, and Tuk for going there to see her tomorrow.
All right, Hotep.
Hotep. All right, and Sa, you said I was trying to have the floor about the recording. Okay, what? You there? Sa, you there?
I'm here. I was trying to tell everyone when you had gotten knocked off earlier after the hissing about the phone call that I placed you, and it was nothing but straight hissing for about over a minute. I just listened to all these strange sounds. I couldn't hear Maku. It was as if I just called those reptilians directly. And I said, well, let me grab my recorder. So I used my voice recorder on my phone to record all of that hissing and squiggly sounds that we usually hear on the address, and sent it to Nanya Shaabu to make a video on YouTube about it, and he did. So that video is up. And it was interesting. What I recorded was different than from what happened on my cousin, because he also recorded, but he didn't have the hissing sound. So it's really weird, very real what's going on here. And the Luciferians are definitely mocking him, blocking Maku. So I just wanted to share that it is up on Nanya Shaabu's YouTube page.
Tawu hat. And so this is what we're talking about. So when you don't hear no hissing on any of these other people's stuff, but you hear it on mine, that's how you know who's really doing something from who's just sitting there and being a very good actor or actress. Okay, and with that, 2 last questions and then we're done. We're going to, any sister, doesn't matter which time zone that has a question, speak now or forever hold your peace. Going once.
Hotep.
Hotep.
Hotep. This is Paradise.
Yes. Yes, Paradise, North Carolina.
I just want to share with everyone that since my son filled out the SF-181 around June 9th, I believe, this week he was parked outside in front of some customer's house, sitting in the car waiting for the customer to answer the door to go do a job for her, and the police came and drove up, pulled up to the car and said to him, do you live here? Do you live around here or something? And he said, no, I don't. And he pulled off, and he drove all the way around, and he came back, and he parked up behind his car, and he got out. He never put his flashing lights on or anything, and he walked up from behind him, and he said he just looked through his peripheral vision, and he seen, the uniform. So he turned over his shoulder, and the officer asked him for his license and so forth, and he said, well, what's the problem? He said, well, there's a lot of break-ins around here, so I'm just trying to make sure that you didn't live here. So when he gave him his identification, the officer was calling, I guess, whatever was on his identification, calling it in. He said it wasn't even 2 minutes, and he was calling me on the phone to tell me what was going on, and he said before he knew it, the officer, all he heard in the background was clear, clear, and the officer gave him his ID and told him, you free to go.
SF-181, white power.
White power.
White power.
White power. White power.
Any sister got a question?
White power.
Tawu hat for that sharing. Tawu hat for sharing that Paradise. Tawu hat.
Hotep.
No, sister.
Yeah, this is TA in Asakata, Riverdale. I just wanted to know
I just want greetings. I just wanted to know if you had received my email with the corrections for my UCC one.
Yes, and I went over and sent that back to you. Did you not get the email?
No, I didn't. I'm gonna double check one more time. No, I don't see it.
Check in your spam.
Nothing in the spam.
Okay, let me look because I remember we spoke on that same day, and I remember fixing all of that up.
Yes, and then you said look over the one that you fixed up, and if there was any other issues, just let you know. And I did find a few more things, couple more things, and so I responded back.
Okay, resend those ones, the second set, and I'll fix them.
Okay, I will.
So this way we can get you rolling, all right?
All right. Thank you. Okay,
You're welcome.
Appreciate you. Great address.
White power.
White power.
All right. Last question, brother. Doesn't matter which time zone.
Hotep, Chief.
Hotep, who's this?
I'm on Nitiro.
Greetings.
Greetings, Chief. As I was just listening, I just wanted to say when the sister was talking about police, I noticed that I experienced the same thing, and I started doing an Indian dance in the area that I was at, and all of a sudden the lights went out on the truck, and the cop had pulled off, and then he came back, and then I had told one of the brothers, I said, well, I'm going to make him leave, and I was, reading out of the indigenous rights and started doing the Indian dance, and he left. And then on top of that, a petition was filed against me in family court with Judge James Griffith of Utica, New York, corporately known. And I have filed the SF-181 for my children and myself, and they have not responded whatsoever because I gave it to them, and they have not responded. So I'm just saying, like, that's proof of that, the SF-181 do stands.
Beautiful. Much appreciated for that, for you tendering that for everybody to hear. And again, that's international public record, international knowledge, and international evidence. Okay. Any other man that has a question? Last question for any man. It doesn't matter what time zone. Hotep.
I wanted to know. This is Michael again. I wanted to know if it's okay to laminate our SF-181 so it doesn't get all smudged up and all that.
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I was trying to find out what weekly address. I can't find exactly when I do that. When I send it to the Department of License, I have to give them a cover letter and all that, letting them know that that I'm updating my status or my standing.
What license? What are you talking about?
Those driver's licenses that I have.
No, you don't have to send them anything. That's going to be done for
okay.
You don't have to send them anything. You could inquire. You ask them what do they have, but if you've done your SF-181 already, that's generally going to be taken care of because the driver's license is connected to the Social Security.
Okay.
All right, then. So, with that, before we go, what's that there? Is that for me, Aaron, or are you showing that to Andrew? Hold on, y'all. Y'all just
illustrating that when everybody makes set off all your documents, you can just take them to Staples and make a book out of it. What I did was I took the United Nations Charter, United Rights of Indigenous People, put all in a book, all of them. Human rights, economic, social, cultural rights. I put them all in a book. Found it.
Okay, yeah, I see. That's Surlocks. That's metal.
No, it's like plastic.
Yeah, that's plastic Surlocks. Yeah.
So
bag looks good too. It looks real neat, organized, everything. So that's another clue for y'all. So with that, that's it for this week. And before we go, because we know that I always get these restricted calls plus these reptilians hissing on the phone, right? So before we go, we all want to give them a big white power before. Well, that's it for this week. So let's give it to them and let them know it's all about white power. White power, white power.
White power, 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 white power. White power. White power. White power.
White power.
White power. White power. White power. White power. White power. Power.
White power. White power rules.
All right. Next week, and we'll talk with everyone. Hotep ila Antutin, Hotep ila Paniteru, Hotep ila Re, Hotep ila Parashunat, Li Haza, weekly address. Hotep ila Antutin. Badu, everyone.
Hotep you. Come to.
Hotep, Marcus.